What? There we go. How are you? Do you like my silly hat? But even still. Needless to say, I'm hoping, for the most part, if we do actually go to trial again, we won't have to work. We won't have to struggle as hard as we did, but I imagine we're gonna have to do a bit of scrounging around for info all the same, because God help me. The revelations that came about yesterday are in need of actual discussion, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Right now, I should probably consider taking you off to the game in the first place. No, there we go. I don't care what you have to say, Odin, I am worthy. Either way, needless to say, crash outs don't exist. We are having a beautiful day, just immediately slowing down our words to properly sound like Bayonetta with a tobacco addiction. But you know, personally, I'm over here to think myself. I'm getting as much out of I can out of just one episode of this game, and God help me, it's sure putting in its legwork to do that. Hopefully episode 2 is just as good. I don't know how much it costs, but we're gonna have to go into it when we get a chance, you know? I've got a lot of energy I want to put into this. So, if I may do so, let's see if we can actually acquiesce to the idea. No. Because frankly speaking, I need to see what's going on in regards to what's happening here again. So yeah, what did we learn last time? There is not an android or an AI. If anything, she's basically a synthetic human being, but we'll figure that out. Get so turned around, God only knows. Lucky I found my way here, though. It's such a relief to see a familiar face. Right. Listen, Morgan, I'm sure that I should actually be talking to you without legal... I'm not sure I should be actually talking to you without legal presence. Oh. I mean, leadership hasn't even told us how David died. How much help could I be? I see. Also, I see that you're currently on a 7-stream watch streak. Thank you, Carp. It means the world to me. You should use those points, by the way, but even still. It's not that I don't trust you or anything. It's just, I think what with the Serra issue, you should do whatever you have to protect your interests. Yourself, Dawes. I have like 77.4k. You need to do something about that. I promise you, I will get better at coming up with stuff. But you know, why is every hotkey hearts? I'm sorry, this is strange. Everything goes weird when I don't expect it, but even still. There we are. Even still. Also, hello, Akai. As you can see, scuff is a way of life. But even still, how are you? Oh. I see, this is what we're doing today. I get you. Yeah. Though, for what it's worth, I doubt you'll be in any trouble. Oh. That's good to hear. No, if anything, it's the big names who are going down. Going down? Staper's practically licking its lips when I finally left the courthouse that night. They're hungry for blood. And looking to carve out a huge slice of Noble's flesh. What, like fines and jail time? In the first 2 weeks, sure. Then sanctions.
Thank you!
Then, subscribing for the 31st month in a row. Thank you, my brother. I hope you're doing alright. How's the restaurant lately? I can't. Sanction Noble. We're too big to fail, too valuable to lose. You're exactly right. That's why they'll say... And that's how they'll justify nationalizing the company. I think I'm going to be sick. I just hope your board goes quietly instead of... Instead of what? Scapegoating? Offering up smaller names on silver platters. Full cooperation and government oversight on the surface. A slaughter beneath as they clean house and rip out anyone who could testify. No one will believe you once you're labeled a disgruntled former employee, right? And if the public's lost faith in the Animate 16, they can't do a recall. Not at this scale. The state will make them do a flat refund. What? Refund? The losses would be... Yeah, your board probably just want Serra to go away so they can focus on their fight with the state. A tough fight, but one they know they won't personally have to risk anything in. That's why I'm hoping I can win this trial. We got a big week ahead of us, so that's going to be fun. I hope it's lucrative for you all the same, Kyo. If anything, I'm still waiting for a day where we get to see your concoctions again. But, you know, I understand business before pleasure. Well, if I won, that would mean Serra's not an AI. David Ashur was always of sound mind, and there's nothing wrong with the animate 16. Everyone wins. Sorry, what am I saying? I only meant to stop by and thank you for your help yesterday. After all, you were the one who approved Serra's registration. You win. Win what? Ask away. Well, if you insist. So, are we rooting for the government to take over this company, or absolutely not? That's kind of the thing about it. The thing in regards to this is that if Serra is ruled as an artificial intelligence, that means the government can strip away Noble for whatever purposes it wants. Whether that's good for the people or not, you get me? But at the same time, we don't like Noble for the reason that they are a... what do you call it? A hyper-dubious megacorporation that builds robots of its own accord. But the difference is that Morgan herself doesn't profit from either of these. If she loses Serra, it basically just means the government can do what it wants in regards to the warm-bodied androids in the first place, you know? They can basically tear down the industry and make it so that nobody wins in regards to that. Plus, you know, state-sanctioned weapons in the form of people, but still. Let's see here. Noble spent months promoting the A16s as the culmination of David Ashur's work. So, now that that marketing line is suddenly a huge liability, can you tell me how much he actually contributed? I mean, he was pretty involved in pretty much every step of the process, but his design for synthetic motor neurons, that was the big one. The components that allow your warm androids to move realistically. It pushed the timetable for warm androids ahead by years. And yet, compared to what goes on in Serra's brain 1,000 times a second, David was only giving the company the most meager of the fruits of his private work. So, if Noble ever did find out how much he and his assistants had achieved, they would feel like he'd been holding out on them. And the company, they were appreciative of his contributions. I'm sure the researchers that he overtook by leaps and bounds weren't pleased, but the board was very enthusiastic. So, would that spur them to be protective of David? Or would they fear that he was gaining too much influence, becoming irreplaceable? No, they'd need a strong motive to justify killing their golden goose. Mere paranoia isn't enough. With these people, it has to be the bottom line. And the easiest way to threaten their bottom line would be screwing with their androids. In light of all that's happened, one has to wonder if the A16 is compromised. I stayed up all night sick with dread at the idea. But the data just doesn't support it. Sales have been strong. And the A16 base code was locked in over 2 quarters ago. If it were an issue, we would have caught it by now. And I would have been axed a long time ago. How many A16s are out there anyway? We just passed 9 million sold. Not flying off the shelves like the 14 or 15 so far, but the profit margin makes up for it. You mentioned data? Yeah, practically got the spreadsheet seared in my retinas. So what do you want to know? Alright, let's see here. Show me your error reports. What do the error reports look like? Our customers reporting a lot of issues. Error counts are marked low compared to the last gen. Mostly hardware complaints, it looks like. Batteries running out too quick, eye tracking off by a degree or two. Typical stuff. Man, bro really is just letting us ask whatever. To be fair, we did blackmail him, so you know. As cliche as it sounds, 99% of these things get fixed once they turn auto updates back on. So no killer robots getting filed away under bug reports. Distribution? How and where are they being sold? What's the distribution pattern look like? They're distributed like you'd expect. Places where there are more people, or more androids. Coastal cities like ours, of course, have the most of both. And since the A16 in particular is marked as being relatively luxury, relatively consumer, they don't sell well outside population centers. They can do the rural hard labor jobs, but cold models can do the same work with a lot less maintenance. So where has the A16 outperformed then? Customer service, healthcare, childcare, lots of hospitals, office, and, you know, adult industries. My god, they're making movies with those robots. Oh. Sorry. Didn't mean to be blunt, just... Give me a sec, I am adjusting my mic. Let's see. Sorry. Didn't mean to be blunt, I just... No, it makes sense. They're warm, and soft to the touch, and... obedient. I don't like her going all black eye at the idea of that. I also don't like this blocking my camera. Let's see here. There we are. Is that any better? Probably. But let's see. I'm just surprised to hear it from a company employee. There are a lot of people at the company who won't talk about it. But I work in quality assurance. I've seen too many damages to pretend it's not happening. Damages? What we call it when a customer tries to return a product that's clearly broken beyond repair. Oh. Very high turnover in the pink market. Hasn't stopped you from selling to them. Well, we don't sell to them. Not directly. But there are resellers, and the company's never pretended to be interested in going after them. Are there resellers? I thought I read that Right to Repair got shot down again. There has been a gray market for softer androids for years, or decades depending on your definition of android. Based on the sales numbers I've seen, RTR getting canned was barely a blip on their radar. Sorry, didn't mean to make you uncomfortable with this topic. Me? No, I don't care. I just realized that my left sock is inside out. Damn. Now I'm wondering about that myself. He bought that? Yeah, I'm over here just like, my name's Evangeline Morgan. I have the poker face of God and the devil, but let's see here. This floor is basically a showroom, but you have a real factory a while south of the city limits, correct? Yeah. Biggest company manufacturing complex in the hemisphere. Got any data on the shipping out there? Anything stand out? There's some prep work in for the holiday bump, looks like. Might sound early to get started now, but we usually see... Something wrong? No, the numbers are all normal, but the data has been edited. Is that unusual? Well, this section's just a count of how many were sent where. There's not a lot of room for errors, so there shouldn't be much need for corrections. It's no problem, though. I can fix the edit history and see what was fixed. Okay, that's weird. Was something added? Deleted? No, the overall sum's the same. It's just a bunch of swaps. Like here, 29FFCE010311 taken out, returned for adjustments. 27FCDD019634 substituted in, shipment leaves on time. 67BBTC 8995543 returned to assembly for revisions, replaced by 67BBTD 592698. Shipment leaves on time. So, does that strike you as odd, Mr. Dawes? Ichi said the not funny numbers. I'm going to come over there, and when I do, I'm gonna give you the shower gel you don't like. Let's see here. Replacements before shipping isn't uncommon, but when it happens by the batch load. To spot individual unit imperfections among a shipment at that stage in the process, it must have been someone with a lot of experience, or authority, probably both. Must have. You don't know who made these changes. I can tell you they were somebody important. Small last-minute changes to which androids got shipped out. Not very juicy on its own, and it's a long ways away from explaining why someone would want to kill David. But it was hidden, and that means someone didn't want it found. Okay, thanks for sharing that data. Sure. Did you find what you were looking for? Hell if I know. Yeah, that's crazy, just over here, just like, this tells me dick all, but God help me, it might be useful. Fair enough. Let's see here. Tenants, though. Oh, wait, I'm not allowed to look at it. I didn't unlock the funny thing. Let's see here. Humor me for a moment. What's the company's official statement on AI? Same as any rational company that wants to make money. We don't screw with it. True! But still. Smart products are profitable. Products with their own priorities are anything but. That being said, AI is a concern for marketing, not product development. We spend a lot of money reassuring our public that there's no risk. Because the public doesn't really understand how ironclad the tenets are. Because you use Tesseract? Trying to code an AI in TESS is like trying to pick yourself up and throw yourself. Nonsensical and self-defeating. Your scanner showed Serra was running on Tesseract yesterday. If the language is as safe as you say, isn't that proof enough? Proof of nothing. For an AI, lying to another system about the code you're running is child's play. And for an AI built by David Ashur, something that simple would be... Better change the subject. Wait, so making an AI takes more than time and resources. It isn't an issue of funding? No, you can't just keep adding more data. The tenets underline everything. The higher you stack, the more easily you'll topple. It's like Jenga. It's like code Jenga. Eventually it will just topple. You make it sound like building an AI is impossible, even for David Ashur. Any chance you'll testify to that? It sounds impossible. But he's dead, and it looks like it was his android that did it. So I guess he was just that good. Better than you'll ever know. Okay, there we go. Thank you. I was about to get upset, but even still. I know you're convinced that the tenants are safe. So how do you square that with what's happened to David? There's a cat next to a dog. The first answer that comes to mind is the dog to the left or the right. Alright then, Chad, what do you think? Is the dog on the left or on the right? Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Wrong answer, the omelet, but even still. I'm gonna go with right, because cat and dog. I'd say... The dog is on the right, the cat is on the left. You might expect half of people to say left, half to say right. But actually, the answer is almost entirely dependent on their native tongue. Whether it's read right to left or left to right. The language they speak affects how they process information. Their language affects how they think. And it's the same for machines. People can learn new languages, and it can change our perspective. But machines can't learn a new source code. Every update's a reincarnation. If that android did kill David, it wasn't because a 0 returned as a 1 somewhere. It's because there's something fundamentally wrong with it. And personally, I think it's cruel to bring something that flawed into the world. Yeah, unnecessarily cruel. Any other questions before I go find a hole to hide my head in? Wow, rude. To be fair, you're basically playing God at that point, but you know. I'd like you to take a look at this. Chemistry's a little outside my purview. What's this? A compound found in David Ashur's blood. The poison? What is it? It didn't match anything in any database the medical examiner had access to. That's crazy. Here's a crazy idea to follow it up. See if it's a match for anything in Noble's internal databanks. We, don't poison here. I'm not sure what that would accomplish. No, but this is a factory floor. You could be making baby blankets out there. You'd still have hazardous materials around. Do you think it was something industrial? Suppose it could be. Looks like its carbon-based narrows it down a lot. It's not exactly... What is it? It doesn't make any sense, but it's a match for patent NOD 52345S. A synthetically produced neurotransmitter analog for usage in organic android components. Serotonin. That explains a lot. A neurotransmitter would interact directly with the nervous system, in David's case, depressing it enough to put his life in danger. It also explains why it was present in his personal nanofacturer. Sarah's nervous system, worth 10 times its weight in platinum, must be pumped full of it. So they think that's what killed him? Helen Young led the development of serotonin, didn't she? Yes, she did. I should just go and ask her about its composition, then. Normally, someone at her level wouldn't be able to answer specific questions about a compound formulated years ago. But she does have a reputation for being very detail-oriented. That works out nicely, then. They say she's the type of person to micromanage how much water people drink at 15 minute stand-up. I heard a rumor that she once said, bathroom breaks are timesheet theft. I mean, to be fair, if you really want to come after me for needing a moment to keep myself together in the bathroom, I don't even know what you're talking about at that point. At that point, you're costing yourself productivity. Aren't they? I'm kidding. She sounds like an Amazon manager. That's what I'm saying, though. But you should be careful about criticizing a superior where people could be listening. Good thing we've got privacy in your office. No one but the two of us listening in. Thanks for cooperating, Dawes. When the state storms the building and starts zip-tying people, I'll let them know you were helpful. Yeah, nice joke. You are joking, right? Yeah, one more thing. Actually, there is one more thing I wanted to ask you. What's that? How long have you been a corporate spy? What? Yesterday, you let slip that you worked in consulting. Had your guard down because I'm not part of the industry. I was a consultant. What are you talking about? When I walked in here, you said you didn't know how David died. But just now, you called serotonin a poison. What? I just assumed if a chemical was found in a dead man. And I'm not sure you got practiced answers to every logical point I could raise, so I'll just say this. Does the nervous guy bit really work on people? Keep your cool, and people don't know what you're thinking. But if you act a little jumpy, they feel inclined to calm you down. Before they know it, they're spilling their guts just to have something to fill their silence with. Though it's not entirely an act these days. To answer your question, I did 3 tours in consulting, 4 quarters of internal affairs, spy hunting at the Western Division, then 8 embedded at Howe Industries. 24 months wearing different faces, answering to different names, sleeping for 1 hour at a time with a 3D printed shiv under my pillow. My nerves are completely shot. Cover won't last a day if I went back under. So you're a spy for Noble. Retired. You're working 6 days a week, 5.5 days a week, and in quality assurance. Trust me, this position is a cushy, generous reward for my past services. Well, you can't be that retired. You clearly know more than you're letting on. I have some old inboxes I still check. So can you tell me what the hell is happening around here? Why I'm the one investigating David's death while your old co-workers are off twiddling their thumbs? It's that story. The soldier, the blood transfusion. Blood, not accident. He's finally shooting straight. Did something happen to him afterwards? Did the transfusion not last? No, there's nothing wrong with the blood. It's the story itself. There was a soldier, and he did get injured. But it was on a base during a training exercise. There was a medical tent 10 meters away from the whole time. The transfusion was just a fortuitous live test. His life was never in any danger. Doesn't make for much of a tearjerker. Not even a good photo op. Which our competitors understood. One of them, maybe a few of them, got a hold of the story, started puffing it off, astroturfing, painting it over socials and virals. By the next morning, we had the military thinking we're leaking like a sieve. Meanwhile, the media's bombarding us with requests for videos and interviews and data. And the state's praising our tech with one side of their mouth while threatening to mist us with the other for getting so greedy. Everyone at Noble CCE has been slammed ever since. Trying to find an off-ramp for the story we can walk back the claims on without torpedoing our state contracts. I don't know what happened to Ashur, whether it was AI gone rogue or a company infighting gone too far. But I can tell you it wasn't done by consultants. That all you wanted to know? How much do we believe Dawes on this chat? I have to ask. But even still. Pump this nerd. Yeah, sounds about right. The men will come to a consensus. You worked in CCE. Was David actually seeing a psychologist? Or was that all cloak and dagger? I know that office. Know some old co-workers who see them. So it's a front? They do both. So he was probably getting training. And he was probably talking to someone. Sorry. Not the answer you were hoping for. Hoping? I wasn't hoping for any answer. The answer I expected was... You okay? That's all. Unless you got any advice. You're saying you want to consult, you want a consultation. Couldn't hurt, right? That face tells me brother is over here remembering the war, but you know. This company, oh, these companies hate to lose. So don't fight them. Make them think you're fighting for them. Well, that's just business as usual for me. Meanwhile, July 2nd, 1:22 p.m. Nah, fuck them. In this case, we kinda have to play ball a little bit, you know what I mean? It's them or the state. and I think the state is worse. Up until now, there's been this grating ambiguity about what actually killed David. We've had to use guesses and process of elimination and even the goddamn pseudonym. But I finally identified what the poison was. Now I just need to figure out how it got there. Or rather, who put it there. Which brings me back to here. An elevator shaft somewhere under or above ground with kilometers of concrete facelessness and bureaucratic authority surrounding me on all sides. An enemy in every cubicle, in every office of every floor of this temple. Built to interpret the inscrutable divinations of a temperamental oracle named Share Price. Back in the belly of the beast. And yet I feel more at ease now than I have all weekend. Makes sense. Now that I know Noble's my enemy, I know where to aim. All that's left to do is pull the trigger. You know what sounds good? Good thing I didn't bring a knife to this fight. I brought my gun. And that sound just now tells me that it's playing its role perfectly. I'll never have a real use for a firearm with this much bloatware. But just by carrying it around and paying attention to when the hard safety clips on, I'll always get a heads up when the police have entered the vicinity. Hi, Detective Reyes, it's Morgan. Happened to get your contact info when you got me cleared for the crime scenes yesterday. Delete contact. Block this contact. Stop voice to text. How to stop voice to text. Just wanted to check in. Report this contact voice to text disable. And advise you that Noble's scared shitless of you stomping on and nationalizing the place. So they might be a little uncooperative when it comes to fetching documents. Block this contact. What makes you think we are at Noble? My bad, then. Forget I said anything. And whatever you do, don't start your investigation with their stock buyback program. Drawing reverse psychology, it only works if I care what you think. Stop voice to text. Reyes is so stupid when she has to deal with Morgan. I feel bad for her, but you know. About time. I thought I'd have to ride the elevator for the next half hour. Wait, give me a second. No. Morgan, Counselor, your presence has been requested on the upper floors. Deja vu. I've just been in this place before. Might you have a moment to speak in private? Always. But who's asking? The board. What are the chances? I've been wanting to speak to them too. I feel like a fucking celebrity in this town. Let's see here. Meanwhile, in the Northeastern HQ. Make an impression, babes. I'm trying my best. I should be making an impression on you, chat. Do you like my performance so far? Let's see here. One of these days, I will actually learn how to put some bass in my voice to properly sound like a tired old salaryman, but we'll get there when we get there. Hey, look, everybody, it's Frieza. Let's see. Evangeline Morgan. Helen Young. Thank you for making time in your schedule. Her posture, her tone, the fold of her clothes, professional, dialed up to 11. Corporate armor, a full set, her guard is up. Just, Morgan is fine. You're just a few minutes early, Morgan. Typical corporate never be the first one to show up pissing contest nonsense. It doesn't even make sense. They called me in here. How could I possibly be early? What do you think? Do we be mild and understand the room, or be spicy and immediately tell them to fuck off? But let's see here. Oh, that's embarrassing. I didn't mean to catch you all off guard. I'll go wait outside in case... so you can all collect yourselves. I'm just surprised that Noble Electronics could screw up something as simple as a meeting start time. But I'm not well versed in the art of staring at emails. You've made your point, Counselor. Don't push your luck. Not with these people. Might I dare to ask who these people are? You don't have time to remember their names, and it won't do you much good either. Right, so they're not just rich, they're anonymous rich. The Mob Act guarantees a minimum level of security and peace of mind for any citizen who might be targeted due to their financial status. You know what? Give me a second here. I want to read that. The Protection of Reasonable Anonymity Act is a law passed in 2059 and amended in 2061 intended to protect the safety of individuals with income above the 99th percentile of the nation. Labeled in the press as the Mob Act for its supposed goal of hindering mob justice, the PRAA establishes procedures and funding for technology that helps individuals within that particular tax bracket keep their name, face, and address off the main net, ensuring that they and their families are not just prejudiced against just because of their financial status. Economic uncertainty and civil unrest in the late 2050s led to a series of highly publicized crimes wherein corporate executives at a number of high-profile companies were stalked, harassed, and assaulted in net organized flash lynchings. After a particularly chaotic attack that resulted in the hospitalization of a 14-year-old, the PRAA was proposed, debated, and signed into law in just under 11 hours. A flash lynching case has not gone to trial since 2062, but the PRAA continues to protect citizens to this day. Some economists have pointed to the PRAA and its promise of anonymity as to why the nation has enjoyed a relative resurgence in corporate immigration over the last few decades, but the purposefully obscured nature of the law's implementation has made the task of weighing its true economic impact effectively impossible. Well, the government decided the Illuminati should be real. All right, I see how it is. Spoken like a true believer. Except Mob Act is what normal people call it. Touting the party line but allowing yourself one instance of rebellion. Or just a slip of the tongue. I would never fault anyone for wanting their privacy, especially not job creators. But it must get pretty inconvenient not having a name to call them. Not really. Conversations with them are always one-sided. Sounds like a great environment to do business in. Look at the building you're standing in. We managed to eke out a meager profit somehow. So if it works, didn't take you for the mic mix rank type. And I didn't take you for a clueless boor incapable of reading the room. Sorry, did I say something off color? I was only being casual since it's just the two of us here. Maybe we should take advantage of this rare bit of privacy. Clear the air. You're here to ask about Serra, yes? As I said before, I had no idea that Dr. Ashur had been building an android on his private property. And I can say here and now that no one at Noble Electronics ever suspected that he was working to undermine the Tenet framework. She's trying to sound candid in her tone, but she's choosing her words with a surgeon's scalpel. Was she coached? Is that the truth? Or is that your statement as VP of Android Futures? It's both, of course. Dr. Ashur was always more than happy to haul himself up and work independently. But we both know that. True, he could be pretty reclusive. I'm sure it caused all kinds of headaches, him disappearing on you and all like that. Must have been especially difficult when he came back with breakthroughs that propelled Noble to the top of the industry. You should take a seat. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I need this rich Priss accent to come out a little bit easier. I'm gonna be real. If that's everyone, shall we begin? Friendly bunch. Me entering a Zoom call be like, Is there a problem with the sound? Anyone get muted by accident? No. Okay. Thanks for having me. I don't want to take too much of your time. I'm actually a bit flustered, having you all show up here. I didn't expect to talk to anyone higher up than a service associate. You're investigating the death of Dr. David Ashur. Why wouldn't we take that seriously? Because you want me to go away? You know what? She's not wrong. At least, half of you do. The others aren't sure yet. You must be confused. The board is, as always, united in its decisions and its visions for the direction of this company. The board of directors is just 13 roulette-rolling psychopaths who get together and vote on whether or not to execute their CEO every 6 months. None of them would be where they are if they were anything else. But I happen to know how that kind of person thinks. The way I see it, there are 2 possible outcomes. Option 1, you oppose me. Shut me out completely, stonewall me, stall me, and wait for me to walk into trial so unprepared and ill-informed that I inevitably lose. Obviously, I don't like this option. But you can't be big fans of it either. If I lose, the world will learn that David Ashur was killed by an android he programmed. Then every customer you've ever had, and every lawyer they've ever seen on TV, and every firebrand strapping young 60-year-old junior senator looking to make a name for themselves will use your company balance sheet as their personal chew toy. The company is more than capable of, after which the state still might just gobble you whole and throw down enough sanctions to the person whoever among you cries, "No fair." The company and its allies at the Capitol can more than fend for themselves. Yes, probably, but not definitely. Which makes it a gamble. Still my turn to talk. Then on to option 2. You cooperate with me. I use whatever you give me or forge for me to win at trial, proving that David wasn't killed by an android. When the markets open tomorrow morning, you all get another round of stock buybacks on the initial dip. Then pat yourselves on the back for staying calm as you continue to profit off David's legacy for the next 100 years. And you won't even have to worry about him speaking out of turn. That's only if you win. If the company cooperates with you, denies that David was killed by, and the state beats you anyway, it would be catastrophic. Yeah, it's a gamble. But if at least some of your board wasn't considering taking it, I wouldn't be here. We're all busy people, and I'd hate to drive a wedge between such a close-knit group of friends, so how about this? Option 3. Hedge your bets. What? Put a little on black, a little on red, spread the love and lower your risk profile. Don't make any statements about the trial. Tell the media the state's got your windpipe in a vice. Wait until just before the markets open Monday morning to send out your PR packages for rubber stamping. After you already know who's won. One way or another, this trial will be over before the end of the day, and you'll never hear from me again. So just don't shut me out completely for another few hours. And does anyone second that notion? Very well. We can answer some of your questions, Counselor. Better make them count. No reason to be shy now. The poison that killed David Ashur has been identified as cyanotonin. You're familiar. It's one of our many patented materials, as I recall. You recalled it pretty easily yesterday. Gee, what's changed? But intellectual property law can be very complex, Counselor. I'm not sure how much I or anyone at the company could tell you about cyanotonin at this time. Well, if you can't tell me about it, who could? You did lead its development, didn't you? Yes, I oversaw the project, which just makes it that much harder to speak freely without compromising the confidentiality of the teams that reported to me. I understand. It sounds like bullshit and I don't believe it. But I'm not asking for trade secrets here. It's a perfect match for the only foreign substance found in his blood. Cyanotonin is what killed him. The state will say the same. God, Morgan's so damn hot. Here, cut him up, girly. That's what I'm saying, though. I am trying my best to fit the mood as much as possible. Again, Bayonetta, if she were a criminal defense attorney. But, you know. That's not possible. Care to elaborate? I'm sorry, but I can't say any more at this time. So much for cooperating. And if I were to ask an officer of the court, then I would ask you to be patient and wait until this afternoon. Ada Rockford has already called me to testify. Already? Damn it. I got cocky because of the cops' late arrival. Emma must have gone straight for the throat first thing this morning and left the investigating for later. Hell, knowing her, she probably managed to ID the cyanotonin before she went to bed last night. So, are we still having this conversation then? As I said, I'm sorry. But I have to take more than just my personal feelings into consideration here. There's a great deal at stake. Why am I rolling my R's? I'm sorry. Corporate speak for, you're too stupid to understand why I'm being dense. She's just trying to shield the company, plain and simple.
Good morning.
Well, good morning to you, Cleric. How are you after yesterday's stream? But even still, I hope you're doing all right. Thank you for lurking, by the way. Give me a second here. If you haven't done so already, you should go follow Cleric as well. They are understandably very good at playing Bravely Default. But even still, LARPing is Helen Young Dark on the crusade against government outreach. Overreach, I should say. But if she's that busy defending Noble, she might be leaving herself unguarded. Why is she here anyway? Why am I speaking to her and not her lawyers? That's right. This is a vulnerable position for her. She wouldn't put herself in check like this. Not unless she was forced to. So that's it. Acting as their mouthpiece isn't some honor for her. This is a punishment. She's being used as a meat shield. They're upset with her, perhaps even suspicious of her. Time to find out why. David's will, jealousy, the girl who may or may not be real, hit him with the will. That's what I'm saying, though. We are currently waiting out a 2-minute break, though, so give me a brief second here. I need water. If anything, I also need to check whether or not the water button actually works. Give me a brief second here. I don't know half the time with tits, but let's see here. First of all,
This party's getting crazy. Let's rock.
yep, that tells me everything I need to know about that, but also that picture of Mio that I put on here. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, though, but even still. One of these days I will get a Mambo button. I don't even like Makitane Tannhauser like that, but everybody loves Mambo for some reason. Let's see here. But still, for the most part, chat, are you having fun? Me, I'm thinking to myself, we're gonna take a moment to get this 10 seconds out of the way for 3 minutes of playtime, but even still. For the most part, I'm over here just thinking to myself, the one thing that I'm trying to do at the moment is maybe consider investing in a ring light, and maybe investing in the idea of the camera actually being angled in a way that lets my mouth actually track properly. It is getting better. It's definitely getting better with this model specifically, but at the same time, you know how it goes. My brain is already juicing. I'm so big brain right now, I can feel it. Honestly, I'm glad for it. I'm very happy that people are trying to deduce with me as a result of the way this game is played. Frankly speaking, that's the joy of it. We come to a consensus together. You are my civil system. Except we don't judge people based on latent criminality. We judge them based on the idea of whether or not they fuck up in our face, but even still. I've been thinking about this game all week. Tell me your thoughts. What's your favorite part of The Devil? The character design, the music, Morgan herself, but even still. Is it the fact that I actually get to practice sounding like I know what I'm talking about once in a while, and maybe just actually get to that imminent ASMR quality I'm told that I'm supposed to have? But you know, I can never lock in well enough to actually use it, and that's the problem, but still. Even me, just going over here, just going, I'm a sassy, vaguely Asian old woman who is very high up in my corporate landscape. I am scared for my life. God help us all. But you know, realistically, I'm over here being way too mean to Young for absolutely no reason at all, you know? But still, I love her makeup though. It's low-key fire. What? Helen's? I don't even think Morgan wears makeup, but at the same time, you know, it'd be like that. If anything, I remember somebody saying that the art style of this game looked somewhat amateurish in a very positive way, and honestly, I'm trying to come to a consensus of what that means in my own head. But even still, nah, she's a corpo, you can be mean to her, and nah, I mean Young, understandable. She's a very pretty lady. That does not mean that her co-worker wasn't just murdered a couple of days ago, so naturally you could understand that we spare her only the slightest amount of sympathy, you know? She is a person, but she is clearly being used like a corporate lapdog, so that means we're gonna have to make her bark once in a while. But even still. For the most part, it really is just a matter of there's only so much you can do about something like this, you know? Even still, I'm just trying to think to myself, if there's one thing that this industry has taught me thus far, it's that David deserved a little bit better, but God help me, David was playing with fire. But you know, it dug his own grave. I almost said he ate no crumbs, but then again, he left a huge paper trail that only Morgan could deal with because it was his only way of bearing his soul out, you know? The industry is a crab bucket, let's be honest. I mean, you like seafood, don't you? Let's see here. Let me ask you about his will and testament. Has David's will been located? Give me a brief second here. Water in the way. It had never gone anywhere. It's still safe in a safety deposit box. We'll retrieve it and have it read once all the unknowns surrounding his death have all been made into knowns. So David's will hasn't even become part of the equation yet. It might not be for weeks at this rate. Is that calculated, though? Aren't you dragging your feet? I mean... Yeah, I'm gonna be real with you. There's a more pressing matter on whether or not he was murdered. We can talk about his will later. Anyway, jealousy. I have to admit, I'm surprised you aren't more shaken up today, Miss Young. I'm processing. After all, you and David did have a history. You started at the same time, didn't you? Yes, we were colleagues and cordial with one another. Just colleagues. They were roommates. Good God, they were roommates. Don't be so modest. You helped him create the one-point doctrine that saved the company. That is a gross exaggeration. Noble is far too large an organization to be affected by the contributions of any single individual. Suppose you're right. No one person could change Noble's fortunes overnight. Except for David Ashur, of course. Oh, wow, she did not like that response at all. But he was a once-in-a-generation talent. The guy Noble chose for the advertisements and the one they commissioned editorials about. Sorry, you're right. I shouldn't have equated the two of you. I just hope his one-point doctrine doesn't fall out of favor now that it's gone. Yes, well, we certainly wouldn't want that. Well, she didn't exactly explode with rage, but she definitely reacted. There's real jealousy there. Whether it ever boiled over, though? Well, there's definitely more to consider here. I didn't mean to pry about your relationship with David or lack thereof. I suppose I'm just curious about his standing inside Noble as a whole. David Ashur will always be an outstanding contributor to the company's forward progress. Nothing will ever change that. Not even if he was killed by one of his own creations. That would, of course, be a tragic element that would call for reconsideration of his legacy. He was almost off guard there. Like she was surprised for me to be asking about Serra ruining his reputation. Did David ever anger the board? Yeah, I'm curious about that. Besides Serra, David's reputation was crystal clean. He never went against the company once. Did he? Thoughts. Unless I'm mistaken, and he and Noble were on bad terms. In that case, I might get the impression that some parts of leadership were actually glad to see him taken off the chessboard. That is not something buzzing in your ear. Fine. I suppose it makes no difference if you hear it now or at the trial or on your feed tomorrow. Dr. David Ashur was being sued by the company for breach of contract. Satisfied? Now we're talking. Well then, I suppose that's... Oh. Blackjack. Yeah, I'm so smart. I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. Let's see here. So you couldn't have mentioned this breach of contract earlier? Not without complicating the company's position unnecessarily, no? But there's no hiding it at this point. It'll all come out soon enough. There's a paper trail. Much more than that. We've been making moves to let him go for some time. Noble Electronics parting ways with David Ashur. Must have been one hell of a breach of contract. What did he do? He betrayed the confidence of the board. That's it. Was he contesting the suit? Putting up a fight? Engaging in a legal battle against a mega corporation without even telling me? Until recently, yes. You mean until he died? How recently? We spoke on Friday. That was what you two talked about in his parlor. No, this was earlier in the day. We were in his room, actually. Him, me, and several members of our legal department. It was an arbitration. And did you come to an agreement? A compromise. He would resign from his position in 2 quarters, foregoing royalties and any products we would develop after the next 24 months. In exchange, he wouldn't be publicly fired, and he would still be credited on all past, present, and future filings. How very reasonable. On paper, maybe. No matter what the deal was, letting go of David Ashur is insanity. Reasonable, yes. We ended on a good note, I'd like to think. Tells me they were afraid he was going to win against them. Yeah, more than likely. The guy who is literally the god of your industry would end up taking you down, but still. We shook hands. Even took a photo. Yeah, that looks lovely. Is something funny? Didn't know the board told jokes. They don't. That was legal, expressing their displeasure with how much paperwork my good note ending left them stuck with. Children, it was just one night of overtime. The cops are calling, but still. So while they were spending their Friday night blowing the ink dry, you paid a visit to David's penthouse. Something left unfinished. Professionally, it was a good meeting. There was no yelling, no finger pointing. Much cleaner than expected. But Dr. Ashur did not want to retire. Let me see here. David Ashur met with Helen Young and a team of global lawyers to set the terms of his resignation the afternoon before he died. Young set up the meeting and controlled every aspect from the refreshments to the timing, in line with co-workers' descriptions of her detail-oriented personality. So you're suggesting the Sinatone was slipped in during that? Okay. He didn't want to be forced out of the company when he was the one who... when he had contributed so much. I didn't enjoy doing that to him, so I came over that night to apologize to him. We talked, reminisced. When he brought out the drinks, I thought we'd be toasting to a new day. A few minutes later, he was dead. Because of that AI. That AI? Any idea how it came to be? As I said, I had no idea he was working on it. My question was more broad than that. If you really believe David built an AI, how do you think he did it? How does Noble Electronics think he managed to work around the tenets? It's quite beyond my area of expertise. And no one at the company could call themselves an expert in illegal technology. But some in the R&D department have theorized that he created what they call a wax-wang decaying priority loop, which, as I understand, is an unstable, resource-intensive, theoretical method for pseudo-randomizing the weight amongst present tenants. Well, about as far off topic as it gets with that guess. But that kind of inelegant brute force nonsense seems a far cry from the kind of thing David would create. And I seem to have taken us over our allotted time slot. But I didn't even get to wave goodbye. You're serious about this trial? Don't I look it? You're not just making a play. You're actually going to defend that thing. I'm just defending myself, Miss Young. Oh yes, of course you are. My mistake. I hoped you might be rooting for me, to tell you the truth. I may yet save everyone's stock options. The stock options will be alright either way. They always are. I also just noticed Morgan has freckles, and I'm so down for that. Yeah, my name is Evangeline Morgan. I am everything you've ever wanted, but even still. Finally, an easy question. Wait, I forgot that. Yeah, where's the backlog? Where is the backlog? The gamble I offered your board. Which outcome would you bet on? Finally, an easy question. What I would bet is that whatever the outcome, the company will eat it up and shit it out with very little difficulty. You painted an ugly picture back there, but I've already seen the future. And it's just another marketing gimmick. The great Dr. David Ashur, too smart, too bold, too far ahead of his time. What spark of his genius remains buried in the inspired animate 19? I guess that depends on... You were exactly right. He is more valuable to Noble as a dead man. Dead men can't step out of line, or put their foot in their mouth, or hold politically inconvenient opinions. To a good salesperson, a dead man is just another selling point. Pardon my outburst. I'm just tired. It's been a very long week for me. I'll let you prepare for your afternoon then, Dr. Young. No one calls me doctor. I ask them not to. You didn't want the title. At times, I have thought very little of it. The PhD I earned from a Noble-owned school. Biochemistry. It couldn't have been a large department at Noble before they started work on warm androids in earnest. They probably didn't have many expectations for the program back then when she was part of it. But I was proud of it when I first got it. Something changed. It never seemed to catch on. People didn't use it, so eventually I told people not to use it. A very high IQ social power play, you understand? David never insisted that people use it either. That's very different, and I think you know it. David Ashur didn't have to. Yeah, she's jealous as shit of David. We've already assessed this at this point, you know? I'm going into this trial, my trial, with a lot less ammunition than I'd like. I'm beginning to form a picture of what actually happened, maybe even circling the drain on a suspect. But Emma won't be generous enough to give me breathing room. She'll want to end this fast. Maybe if I do badly enough, it'll flip her sadistic switch and she'll want to keep playing. Hey, look at that. So you got charged with owning an AI. First time you do something exciting in your whole life. And I gotta find out through the in grapevine. My life is plenty exciting. Freckles. You could bore the polish off a resume-checking robot. I've the Catholic school teachers with more active night lives than you. Should you really be talking to your niece like this? Whip. Okay. So who'd you rope in? Anyone I know? Oh. Are you representing yourself? It's within my budget. Screw your budget, you're going to jail. Thanks for the vote of confidence. It ain't a matter of how good a lawyer you are. Anyone who represents themselves in court has a fool for counsel. You represented yourself countless times. Not for anything I had a chance of losing. Your pal hasn't even been dead 48 hours. You're too close to this. You'll make mistakes. The powers that be really didn't want to give me a rain check. They're taking this very seriously. It's more dangerous than that. They're scared. Is there precedent? An ad committing murder. How do you pass law school without learning how to look this stuff up? I know what the net says. I'm asking you. The answer to that is not helpful to you at the moment. So what words of advice do you have? Get yourself a new lawyer. Gonna close this chat now. Don't lose, Freckles. She sounds fun. You don't need to call me that. Oh, hey, look, everybody, it's Sarah. The baby. She's still here. Let's see. What are you reading, Adonai? I was reading David's employment contract with Noble Electronics before I got waylaid by spam texts. The one we found inside the panic room. It looks quite extensive. Did I skim it for you? Depends. Did you pass the bar exam since we last spoke? Yeah, that sounds about right. You comfortable? I am not. Ever seen that old movie with the gorilla in the skyscraper? They bring it into the city and... You understand the analogy, Adonai. King Kong ain't got on I don't know where I'm going with this. I wish I could call it overkill. But considering the specs Sarah put up yesterday, maybe those bindings aren't heavy enough. Come to think of it, those numbers must have been faked along with the rest of what the machine read. If that was a smokescreen David added to help her lay low, then the actual strength is more like... If your joints weren't currently locked up tighter than a vice, do you think you could escape this place? I hope that question is not indicative of your strategy. This is me trying to distract you, Sarah. Enjoy the hypothetical. I would estimate the building's automated security would put 9 holes in me before I reached that door. 9's not so bad. I would not be able to function after the 7th. Well, if you haven't been planning some great escape, I would not do that. That would be illegal. Hi, Ichi. Hello, Vala. How are you? The question for the night, what's your favorite... I don't know. What's your favorite comfort food? Let's go with that one, even still. And you would still be on trial. I remember. So what have you been doing all day, then? I am attempting to recover memories from Friday. You can do that? It is not dissimilar from the process of recovering data erased from any other computer. Despite the difference in scale. I won't be able to remember anything, but if successful, I could recall individual pieces of information that could prove useful. I've been leaning towards honey bun mini donuts. They make those? I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I haven't had a honey bun since I was 6. But, you know, that sounds pretty nice, I'm not gonna lie. That's a lot of codes. And even if you are successful, you may not like what you find. Whatever happened that day, either you or David wanted you to forget. Yes. But even so, I have to remember. Because it's the last day that Father and I... Any luck so far, then? I can recall a slightly musty scent. Wow, case closed. All right, everybody, go home. Baby solved the problem. If only must were the thing that doesn't get her killed. Let's see here. What about you, Adonai? Have you formulated a plan for the trial's proceedings? Something like that. Young insisted serotonin isn't what killed David. I don't buy it. There's no other explanation for how he died. You know how I'm dying not drinking up enough water? Give me 1 second here. Please understand, I am trying to make this sound good, but let's see here. So she is lying? So she is lying? And if she repeats that lie on the stand, I'll need to expose it. Somehow. Somehow. Would she really commit perjury to protect Noble? To protect one of Noble's patents? She doesn't strike me as quite the corporate zealot she makes herself out to be. Would you believe that she had something to do with Father's death? Once again, the cops. What do you think? I don't know. I don't know why anyone would kill Father. Quick, streamer, predictions for tomorrow's partner direct. There's a partner direct? Yeah, Shin Megami Tensei 4 for the Nintendo Switch 2. It would be to my benefit specifically. I would finally sell my blood to buy a Nintendo Switch 2, but still. How are you, Hispanic? Did you enjoy last night's stream? Let's see. Oh, you're trying to kill a bingo column. I don't know. I don't do these things. I just wake up in the morning and say, oh boy, somebody's gonna be upset about this, but even still. Consider the possible consequences of what he confessed to in his journal. I can think of... But then again, I don't understand why anyone would kill anyone. Do you? Why would anyone kill anyone, chat? In the words of Neil Breen, why would you commit... Bells tolling for thee. Means that the doors of the courtroom are unlocked. Let's Wait, can you walk like that? Waddle will have to do. Wait a sec, across the hall, that's... Whoa. Hey, everybody! It's David Ashur's ex. Keep waddling, Sarah. I'll catch up. As you say, Adonai. This'll be a coin toss. Last night was neat. Someday I'll be more in the action for future events if able. I will look forward to it. Believe me, I am praying on your success, but still. You that surprised to see me? I'm not surprised you'd want to see the outcome of this trial. I am surprised that you want to talk to me. You're defending the android, right? Be honest, I think. I mean, to be fair, that is David's disgruntled lover, so... Yeah. I'm defending Sarah's innocence. I don't think she killed David. Do you? I don't think it matters. Noble is what killed David. Whether it was with a pen stroke or a sleeper agent, killer android, or plain old goddamn arsenic, How could anyone that smart be that dumb? Why the hell did he ever sign his soul over to them? David may have been in over his head, but he wasn't a bad negotiator. I've read his contract. His position was strong. You're the lawyer. But a guy like me, working in music, can't tell you how many people I've seen screwed over by a big smile and a fat signing bonus. No such thing as corporate generosity. If you think you're getting a good deal, it's only because you don't know how much you just sold. How much you just sold. David's real wealth lay in his intellectual property, the potential energy of it, hanging over the whole industry. If he sued even 1% of the companies taking inspiration from his Turing solution, there's a clause in his contract. If Noble ever did fire David, he would have retained control over all his patents afterwards. Yeah, see, that sounds nice. Only they never did fire him, did they? He just happened to die. An unforeseeable act of God. In contract law, they call that force majeure. I'm not French. Give me a second here. Okay, a force majeure clause is a contract provision that excuses one or both parties from fulfilling their obligations due to extraordinary, uncontrollable events such as natural disasters, quote-unquote, acts of God, war, or pandemics that make performance impossible, not just difficult or unprofitable. It protects parties from liability for damages caused by unforeseeable external circumstances. David Ashur dying means he was not in breach of contract. Let's see. I said, did you find anything interesting in the contract, Adonai? A few things, yeah. Basically, David was well taken care of, so long as they kept him around. And he'd retained control of his patents even after being let go. But what Porter said... Logically, if David were to pass, while still employed, Noble would continue to control the bulk of his IP. So if they knew David was going to leave in a year, it would be very foolish of them to let Father go. Well, they wouldn't do it for no reason. With this contract, he could only be fired for serious offenses, corporate malfeasance. Okay, the corporate mouthwashing, revealing trade secrets, fraud. Father was not a fraud. He was, as they say, the greatest of all time. He was the GOAT. David Ashur was the GOAT. Fraud just means lying to the company about something, Sarah. Oh. If my French is good enough, I think it would translate directly to major force, so the wordplay being a huge company in a capitalist dystopia would be equal to God or a major force in the world. True. it would take literal God forcing David to die in order to do that. Or, you know, someone big enough ordered his death. But you know how that tends to go. Hello, Thug. I hope you're doing alright. How's the company? How's the family? But even still. Give me 1 second here. You get a shout out. If I were good at actually doing my thing, there's no such thing as aka Thung Senpai, but let's see here. There we are. How are you? Let's see here. Eyes up. Showtime. Councilor Morgan, the state charges you with possession of contraband. Contraband? That'd be you. In violation of the Safeguarding Our Own National Digital Security Act. How do you plead? Not guilty. X's and frozen peas. Very well. Since it seems that we are in fact doing this, I'll now turn over the administration of this trial to the adjutant. But be warned, any attempts at stalling or muddling the issue, and I'll step right in and override the trial myself. Summary judgment siding with the people. Are we understood? Yes, Your Honor. Are we going to have the same adjutant as we had before? No way. Each courthouse only has so many bodies, but the personalities swap around all the time. So the chances of us dealing with the same glitchy mess as yesterday are... Glad to be back. Did y'all miss me? God hates Evangeline Morgan. This is clear. Let's see here. What's up? Got the kid at work today, and he's doing good. It's laundry day, so I'm going to be in and out. How's the stream going? I see we're back in court. We are back in court, arguing for the Smearman child's right to exist. But, you know, it's going good so far. Also, that's Jinako Karigiri. Let's see here. Forget I said anything. I'll just go crawl under a rock and die while you make your opening statements. The defendant is the owner of the android registered under the model name Serra with license number 120292880. She hasn't contested this, and I doubt she will. So the question of ownership is already answered. All that remains is to determine whether Serra qualifies as contraband. It's a charming android, incredibly well made, a masterpiece, and the last known work of a great man. But when we look at the evidence and the facts surrounding the death of Dr. Ashur, we're forced to conclude that said android is responsible for his death. And that conclusion carries very serious implications. No, AD-84, it's okay. The homies love you. Her name is Serra, but still. I will prove here in court today that the machine standing there killed David Ashur. Not through an accident or a mismanaged dosage, but through an intentional poisoning. I won't ask the court to judge this machine on its apparent sentience, its range of emotions, or the free will it may or may not possess. I only ask the court judge this creation on what we will prove it to be more than capable of. Patricide. Patricide. Kill the father. Oof. Wouldn't want to have to follow that act. But go for it anyway, defense. Your Honor, what the DA said is true. What did she just say? Did she just admit it? Sorry, just the first part. This android is charming, and it's the work of a great man. The rest of it was pure speculation based on little more than a few bad camera angles and a phobia of anything new. Scary cat. Shower. I do own the android you see here. It was bequeathed to me by a man known to most of the people in this courtroom as the father of modern machine intelligence. To me, he was just my friend. And if I thought at any point that this puppet had anything to do with his death, I would have been dragged into I would have dragged it to the chopping block myself. But I don't believe that. I never have. Serra is an android, nothing more. It isn't capable of homicide, and it didn't even commit manslaughter. It's just a well-made machine. Any fears one has about its capabilities are projections, nothing more. And it troubles me greatly that the state is spending valuable time and resources on rushing to pulverize Dr. Ashur's last known work, when it could be going after the very real, very human forces that were responsible for his death. Is she serious? Is she talking about Noble? The people can't prove that Serra is an AI. And truth be told, I can't prove that it isn't. But I can prove that it's not guilty. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Chills? You sounded very confident, didn't I? Yeah, well, no one ever got good at lying by being modest. You could have simply said thank you. AD is such a mood, and the girl is out here watching this like it's Law and Order on a Wednesday. Thank you for your presence here today, Detective London. In light of the new evidence, I'd like to go over the death of Dr. Ashur one more time. What happened Friday night? Jen low. Jen high. How are you, Scythe? As you can see, once again, lawyers, but still. At 6:30 p.m., Dr. Ashur spoke on the phone with his lover, and the two of them broke things off. Lover? It's an accurate description of their relationship, isn't it? I wouldn't know. That stuff's private. How don't I? Then the deceased met with Noble VP Helen Young in his parlor starting around 7:30 p.m. He then left the parlor, and the sightlines of his home security system, before reappearing on his private secondary security system in his basement moments later. At which point the android Serra can be seen handing him the poison he'd go on to drink. And do you see that android in the courtroom? Yeah, he's the green-haired one that's frowning at me. I mean, she is frowning. This is true. Let the record show that the android Serra has been identified at the scene of the crime. No objections. None? Then why'd I even show up? Detective London, what happened next? Ashur went upstairs and shared a drink with Miss Young. Within a few minutes, he was being airlifted to the hospital, where he was soon declared dead. I came home for work and woke up, and I've been hibernating for years. That was a good nap, but also lawyers, but still. Either way, I'm having fun with this game. It's the voice acting practice that I've been asking for a good long while, but still. We know that the poison could be produced by his manufacturer, which Serra had access to, just up the stairs in his workshop. So Serra had an ample opportunity to procure the poison, and Serra handled Dr. Ashur's cup immediately before he did. Is there a question in that statement, Your Honor? I'll rephrase. Was anyone else seen handling Dr. Ashur's cup before he died? No. I have no further questions. The adjutant. Objection. The adjutant is not taking me seriously. Let's see. So that's your witness, counselor. He wasn't lying per se, but there was some ambiguity in the statement he gave. Truth's gotta come out one way or another. If Emma won't push, I'll have to pull. Oh boy, the talk screen, the basement footage, the whiskey. To be fair, there was literally nothing in that whiskey, but let's see here. At 6:30 p.m., Dr. Ashur and Isaac Porter broke up over the phone. Then at 7:30 p.m., Helen Young arrived. They spoke briefly and then went downstairs to get drinks for them. Cameras in the basement show Serra handing him the cups and the whiskey. So after he came back to the parlor and started drinking, it wasn't long until he lost consciousness and died. Drinking poisoned whiskey while he thought he was having a toast. Don't know if that's a good way or a bad way to go out. I heard a slight slip up in there. Could go nowhere, but at this stage, I need to pick at every loose thread I can. Yeah, he kind of dragged his feet calling her Serra, you know? Let's see here. Helen Young arrives, spoke briefly, cameras in the base. Yeah, I skipped it. Give me a second here. We're going back. 7:30, Helen Young arrived. They spoke briefly. Cameras in the basement show Serra handing him the cups and the whiskey. Yeah, let's see about that. I want to show you that. Right in the forehead. Let's go. Check that footage again, Detective London. We only see Serra handing the victim a cup. He had already retrieved the whiskey himself. Oh yeah, forgot about that. Detective London just wasn't being specific enough, Your Honor. But it matters little since it was David's cup, not the whiskey bottle that was poisoned. Weird flex, but okay. I haven't heard anybody say that in years. Alright, let's see here. And that undeniable fact is shown clearly in the security footage. Serra hands him a cup after he was ready to leave. True, she did call David back, and handed him a cup of poison. Yeah, there's quite literally nothing in there that would imply that. If the cup was already poisoned, don't you think David would have noticed it wasn't empty? Well, not necessarily. The lethal dose could have been quite small. If it were just a droplet, then he could have easily overlooked it. For Serra, this crime was very simple. There was too little to the plan for anything to go wrong. Once she handed it off, she just had to wait for him to drink from his cup. Is that all she'd have needed to do? I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. Where was she at the manufacturer? Not a great plan, if that really was Serra's move. She gave him 2 cups. How could she have known which cup David would drink from? There are a few ways to go about it. But it's only a 50-50 shot, Counselor. Stranger things have happened. There was no way to know the right cup. It's possible that she knew the right cup. Yeah, best not to go too far with this. I suppose I have to concede that. Indeed. By handing the cups to him nested, she could also hide the droplet of poison up until the point where he was already poisoned. What I say about voice acting practice, I meant it, but let's see here. She could also hide the droplet of poison up until the point he was already pouring. Serra knew David had to be a polite man, so she could predict that he'd use the first cup for his guest and save the second for himself. This murder hinged on taking calculated advantage of Dr. Ashur's kindness. Figures an android would never leave it to chance. She was luring me in. She was luring me in there, an explanation ready to pounce. But I backed off early enough to not lose a whole limb to her bear trap. Now, are there some questions you'd like to ask the detective while he's available? Or are you done already? I was just about to get started. Even if I didn't have questions, I'd make some up just to spite you at this point. But I can do better than that. Now, what can I get London to say that would help my case? 10 technicalities, add involved crime, Serra in the footage, yeah. I'm gonna be real with you, Kasim. Work with me here. Let's see here. Detective, in the footage we just saw, did you see what Serra was doing? Not exactly, no. Her back was to the camera and her hands were obscured. Did you see her hands from any other clip of the camera footage retrieved from the basement? No. Did you or anyone else participating in the investigation ever see Serra put anything into David Ashur's cup? No. The footage submitted to the record is the best available view of what happened. Let's see here. Wouldn't Serra's eyes record it best? There is the issue of Serra herself apparently having redacted the record, but I don't think we're going to press on that anyway. Let's see here. Tenant technicalities. Detective London, in their capacity as assistants to the police force, are androids ever asked to commit acts of violence? Yeah, I guess so. They can push people, restrain them, harm them. And does that constitute a violation of their tenets, harming the people they're supposed to protect? Well, as I understand it, there might be some complex weighting math that goes into it. But no, it's not breaking any tenets. For that to be the case, they'd have to have tenet 1, right? Not injure, or through inaction led to blah blah blah. Yes, I suppose that would have to be the case, wouldn't it? Are you asking me? I hate it here. Let's see here. This is far outside his expertise. Asking him these kinds of technical questions accomplishes nothing other than making us both look dumb to the jury. Let's see here. What about crime? You're literally in homicide. Let's ask about that. Detective, do you know how many violent incidents this city's police have investigated in the last year? Not the exact number. Thousands, though. Yeah, around there. And of those thousands of incidents of violence, you know how many of them were found to be the fault of an automated dependent? I believe there's been about 6 in the last 5 years. Were all 6 of the incidents of police licensed ad involved brutality? Relevance, Your Honor. Withdrawn. Let's see here. How many tenants protect humans? That is a fair question. As an aside, Detective, do you know how many tenants are recognized in this country? 110. 112 as of this year. Couldn't you have given me that one? Do you know how many of those tenants pertain to protecting humans from harm? That one I do know. 41. And lastly, Detective, how many times in the last, say, century have we seen automated dependents break their tenants? 5 times is the agreed upon number. So, if you were to tally that all up and try and make an evaluation as a police officer charged with protecting civilians, overall, you would say that an automated dependent in general are how dangerous to the public? The witness is not an expert on automated dependents, Your Honor. He's more than qualified to say whether they have a history of violence, Your Honor. What the heck? Let him answer. I would have to say that they are not dangerous. Normally, that would have brought me some doubt with the jury, but this isn't a traditional trial. At least I can say that I shored up my own confidence. All right, that seems like that's as close as I'm gonna get to. She said the thing, I clapped. Let's see. I believe I've made my point. I have no more questions for this witness, Your Honor. Then we could move on to the next item in the docket. Looks like Emma wants to introduce some new evidence. I call Serra to the stand. Got a little ahead of ourselves there for a sec, but we just gotta play it cool, just cool, into the mouth. Nice. Let's see. The android. Can she even do that? Approach, Your Honor. Who? You're approaching. You're approaching me. Instead of getting the details, you want to come straight to the jury, but still, I believe that it's me they wanted to speak with. I didn't even get to finish my line. I mean, to be fair, she is very Dio-colored, but you know. Let's see here. Now then, what the hell are you doing, Rockford? Took the words right out of my mouth. I have questions for the android. This seemed like the best way to get answers. You can't call an android as a witness, it's not a person. There's plenty of precedents for it. Ads provide testimony all the time. Not when they're on trial. Serra isn't on trial. You are. I mean, she's got her there. Serra's accused of being an AI. That means you don't trust a word out of its mouth. If the witness isn't to be trusted, the court can decide that for itself after hearing their testimony. Why the ambush? Why'd you list this as entering evidence, D.A. Rockford? Only people can be witnesses, Your Honor, and ads don't have legal personhood. Evidence seemed like the best-worst descriptor. You know I can't make an android swear an oath. Rockford is just trying to spoil your opinion, Your Honor. The more this court treats Serra like a person, the more you'll see her as human. And the weaker my case becomes in your eyes. Nice try, Counselor. But we don't have time to worry about my impartiality. You're free to call for a mistrial if you want, but the state will have turned Serra to slag before you even finish signing your motion. Rockford's calling a witness that is blatantly hostile to her case. If the witness is hostile, so be it. It did kill a man after all. Allegedly. What about the right to avoid self-incrimination? Who's the one treating Serra like a person now? Androids don't have rights. Damn it. The android will take the stand. Your Honor, I've made my decision. And if Serra refuses to take the stand, are you going to charge it with contempt of court? If the machine won't talk, you'll make every effort as its owner to ensure that it does. And if it disobeys you, then we'll have our answer about its sentience right then and there. Yes, Your Honor. Damn, she's good. Yeah, your gay rival is making you look stupid in court. Let's see. Shit. What's going on? The DA is going to question you on the stand. What? But I shouldn't. Listen to me. You don't have a choice right now. This is happening. Tell the truth, but be concise. The more robotic, the better. Yes or no's only if you can. Would using affirmative be and negative be laying it on too thick? But I don't know. If I make a mistake, all these people, they want to destroy me. If you make a mistake, your lawyer will just have to cover for you. Understand? Yes? You are the android identified as Serra, correct? Yeah, affirmative. Do you deny that this camera footage shows you handing the poisoned cup? Objection. It remains to be seen whether the cup itself was definitely poisoned. Definitively. Yes. Serra, do you deny handing that cup to David Ashur? Negative. I have no memory of the incident, so I can neither confirm nor deny it. Do you have any reasoning, any excuse for your actions for failing to notify the police of crucial information? I do not have any records from that day, so I never had anything to tell anyone. Very well. Counselor. The journal, if you will. This could be a slaughter. Of course. Do you recognize this item? It's a journal that belongs to Dr. David Ashur. I have seen him write in it on many occasions. And have you any knowledge of its contents? Negative. You don't have to answer that, actually. Tell the court what you see here in this footage. I see myself reading the journal in the basement. This footage was captured on Friday, the day you claim you have no memory of. So regardless of what you do or don't remember, we know that you read this journal hours before David Ashur died. That is logical. I'd like you to read some passages from it for the court. Can you do that? Of course. Page 238, the 10th line. Serra is going faster than I expected. beyond my wildest dreams or fears. Today she... Continue, please. Today she broke every password I have in the house. That she was curious. I can't expect to keep things from her forever. Page 251, line 12. I have gravely underestimated the scope of things. Sarah could change everything, and I don't think I could stop her. He wasn't. Page 263. Damn it. If this keeps up, Sarah's going to fall to pieces up there. What could I possibly object with? I don't have a leg to stand on here, and Sarah doesn't have a shred of legal protection to speak of. I have to just let this play out. Page 263, I said. I think Sarah was angry today. When I came back from work, she had ripped a Zin alloy plate in half. She said she was testing her strength with the cameras. That was page 267. Sarah scared me today. If she starts bawling on the stand, it's all over. Your Honor, I fail to see the value in continuing this line of questioning. Dr. Ashur was wary of a highly experimental android he was building, as any good scientist would be. That's been established. Do the people have a counter-argument? I have just one last question, if it pleases the court. Let's hear it. This footage was captured in the basement on Friday around 5:30 p.m. Now the court, would you see? I see myself, standing where I was when I read the journal. I'm speaking to someone who's off camera, and I appear agitated, and I stomp my foot. And what happens to the floor after you stomp your foot? A large crack is made with the vulcanized polymer, and I walk off camera towards whoever I had been speaking to. Speaking or shouting? Asked and answered. Not really, but I'll withdraw the comment nonetheless. Your witness, counselor, or evidence, if you prefer. Damn. I knew she could cherry-pick all the worst passages from the journal, but still. If Barrows wasn't wavering before, should I try to have Sarah read the mushy parts? No, the waterworks would start only after a few lines. Emma went to all that trouble to show how emotionally developed Sarah is. Proving that she loved David like a father would be playing right into her hand. What do you say, counselor? Got some burning cues for the android to answer? Yes, Your Honor. Just one moment. Just one moment from me, too. I need water. Let's see here. I'm doing the one thing that people say that VTubers don't do enough, which is hydrating. But you know, let's see here. Emma went for emotion, and the impact was devastating, so all I can do is focus on the fact. So let's flip this around. Say Sarah absolutely didn't poison David. If that's the case, why did she call him back on his way out of the basement? Wait, I'd actually like to ask you to read from the journal again, Sarah. You would? From where? From the section that explains what you were actually trying to do that night. The section of his journal detailing Sterling Career's newfound fame, how he made Sarah. I almost want to blow the whole thing out of the water, but at the same time, would that be wise though? Hard to say. Let's see here. In Career. I want you to tell me how he answered wanted ads. Let's see here. Look around the early section. There should be an entry talking about an early victory at Noble. Relevance. The people will see in just a moment that this story is key to this entire case. Oh, speaking of something to drink, I made a hot chocolate. What kind of hot chocolate? I'm gonna be real with you, I've always low-key wanted to find that particular brand of Mexican chocolate that you just break apart and melt into milk, but I never see it anywhere, you know what I mean? It would be nice, given its winter and all, but still. But let's see. Also, we'll see in just a bit. It's currently an ad break, but at the same time, let me see here. If anything, I'm mostly over here just going, I still need to lock in a voice for Emma. I'm not sure what I want in regards to that, but at the same time, there are thoughts to be had, you know? I made it. Look, in what regard? Explain it to me. Tell me your process. I want to hear this, but still. That I can get behind as long as it's not water. You know what, Bully Thug? We're gonna make him drink water. He needs to hydrate. His son is watching, but even still, let's see here. Realistically, I'm just over here just like, you cannot tell me that there's a bad time to drink water. It's the life bringer, it's the life giver, it's the hydration station. You should be part of this nation, of which we drink water together and become stronger. It's Black History Month. Drink the water, Thug. But you know. I don't care if your argument is dinosaur urine. We treat the water so it's actually clean. Let's see here. Besides, I'm over here thinking to myself, there's already water in your body. You need to replace that water anyway. You're 60% water. Your argument has always been invalid, and I refuse to hear anything otherwise about it. I am the person who imagines you, as a proper hydrated individual, becoming stronger than your foes, becoming more than your predecessors. You should drink the water. Now. But you know. That's me over here, just going, I have a full liter of water that I'm going to drink right now because my vocal cords are stretching in a way that makes me just think of that one lady who sounds like Phil from the Rugrats. But you know. Are we even allowed to talk about Shondo over here? I don't think we are. But still. Realistically, it's just a matter of, you gotta understand, I don't tend to do a lot of talking during the day anyway, and that kind of hampers my ability to actually, you know, lock in a voice that sounds good for streaming, but you know, it's one of those things where it's just like, yeah, I take good opinions in regards to a lot of stuff in the first place, you know? It's why, as a joke, I tend to be the person who just goes, I want you to rate my stream performance out of 1 or 52. Why? Because frankly speaking, it's very actionable. The number 52. You put that grade in the Nintoaster and you immediately experience a life. 69. Well, yes, that's very considerable, but at the same time, this is not the answer I'm looking for. You can't go above the curve, but you know. Look, my kid is built different. He can handle the poison that is water, but if I want to live long enough to see him get through college, I can't be poisoning myself. 100% of the people who've died before the age of 40 have drank water at some point in their life. Your Honor, irrelevant. This brother is out here blaming the thing that cleans the poison out of his system for poisoning the person in the first place. Also, I'm stuck in ads, so I'll have to see your response in the VOD. Well, I guess I'll have to upload the VOD then, but you know, I should be doing that anyway. If anything, if you haven't done so already, do me a favor. Consider following the VOD channel so maybe YouTube could stop burying me and I can make real content while I'm out here struggling for the concept of work in 2026. But you know, it would be of some benefit to some degree whether or not I make real things, but you know, that also requires me to get out of my head in regards to a lot of stuff and just go, hey, look at that. I'm Megiddo Ichi, your internet voiceover person. You should hire me right now. I can sound like anything. I can sound like Black J. Michael Tatum. But you know, I don't believe that for a second. That man has probably gone to actual school for this kind of stuff. But you know, I get close to what I want to be. And that means we get to inch even closer to the idea, just like the truth, of which we will find out shortly. Let's see. I was about to say the button didn't go. Let's see here. Well, I had chocolate and I wanted to try melting it down, so I tried it out. It's just chocolate, milk, a bit of sugar, vanilla extract. I'm surprised that actually melted well. I would have thought it re-solidified after a bit, but you know, I'm glad it worked out for you. No. Windows, there we go. Brought me a stack of plastic cups. Wait, no, did I read it? Let's see here. Got approval from overseas to make this pitch again this week, Young says. Brought me a stack of plastic cups. Here's to a bright future together. Oh, that sounds cool. I'll have to try that next paycheck. What did I miss? Me telling you to drink your water. Because it's not what's killing you, but still. Stress is killing you. Like it does everybody. And then on this next page, another victory for the young and sleepless. Helen convinced the president of Futures over lunch that my code should be the basis for the Animate 13's conversational tracking. He insisted on toasting the same crappy booze in the same cheap cups. Wants to make it a tradition. Plastic cups and liquor. A ritual between Helen Young and David Ashur, who were about to have a drink together Friday night. Something you want to say, counselor? Let's put all our cards on the table, shall we? You want to compare theories? If you'd rather end this now, I'd be happy to oblige. Here's what we know. Serra read that journal and discovered what she was. It infuriated her, and she wanted revenge for being kept under her maker's thumb. That very night, she got her chance when Dr. Ashur came down looking for a drink. So, like the clever and little helper she is, she offered him a cup to drink out of. We're completely in agreement on all that. So you also agree that the cup was poisoned, and that Serra is responsible for his death? Not quite. It's not a bad explanation, Miss Rockford, but it is terribly complex. Though there's a much simpler reasoning for why Serra did what she did. Porter called David in the 6th to break up with him. But David on record seeking psych blend via platinum plan. The proof ownership they found inside the panic room. Oh, I forgot comfort food. Bowl of pepper steak with rice. You know what? I could go for some of that. I'm not gonna lie to you. I do have rice. I need to find something to fry it up with, though. Let's see here. It would be very convenient to go with the idea that a messy breakup would imply that alcohol was served, but you know, there's another card. Wait, Young and David used to be close, would drink together from cheap plastic cups. I'm inclined to believe this or Porter, but at the same time, given the relevance of Young basically just outing herself and just going, the serotonin was my idea, you know, we should probably consider that. The story from the journal. You're saying Serra wasn't planning anything. She was just being considerate. That's so sweet. But I don't follow, like, at all. It was actually quite simple. Serra's not an AI. She only threw a tantrum that day because she found out she was being spied on. A realistic reaction for an android designed to be realistic. David Ashur set her memory to be cleared himself because he wanted to preserve the experiment he was running. Serra didn't hatch a plan to poison him using an obscure chemical acquired from the lab. And she didn't subtly manipulate David into drinking from only one of 2 cups. Because the android read the whole journal that day. Meaning, she also knew how David and Young used to celebrate. And so, when she saw David was leaving the basement without the nostalgic cups, she called him back to hand them to him. Kiss, keep it simple, stupid. Exactly. Let's see here. Simple, right? Simple enough for me, but not nearly good enough for me. What's more likely, Miss Rockford? That a well-made, clever android proposed a sentimental addition to 2 friends' evening? Or that a homegrown AI with groundbreaking physical and digital abilities concocted a complicated poisoning scheme just to kill an unimposing man? All on camera, mind you, before voluntarily submitting to a memory wipe? People make all kinds of stupid mistakes when they commit crimes, counselor. We shouldn't expect an AI to act much differently. Is it stupid or dangerous? Can't have it both ways, Your Honor. We can call We can if it's ignorant of its power and still immature. A deadly trait to have in an AI that's capable of anything. Shall we see what Sarah's capable of then, Your Honor? What? You can't be. Your Honor, that's... The people opened the door. True. And I can't resist open doors. Let's do it. What are you even? Sarah, David Ashur was your creator and your designated owner, correct? Should I still be using affirmative? And now that title falls to me. Yes? Great. Thank you. Now turn off. What? Shut down. That's a command. Power on. What are you? Off. On. I don't. Off. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is what this fearsome machine menace is capable of. I can put it to sleep with one word. So, how could David Ashur ever be threatened by it? Scary. Scary good logic. You've made your point, counselor. Yeah, that face is hot. I wish I could do that with this model, but no, I can only do the eyes. But let's see here. I have no further queries for the machine, Your Honor. Baby girl is upset. Thank you. Baby girl is fortunate. For flipping you off and on. Can't imagine that was comfortable. It wasn't. But I wasn't referring to that. Since yesterday, I've been searching for an answer to why I appeared on that camera. I know I would never hurt Father, but you helped me prove that to myself just now. Don't I? Pardon me, I need to focus. Everything depends on this next witness. The people call Helen Young to the stand. Freezer. Helen Young, Vice President of Android Futures at Noble Electronics Eastern Division. Miss Young, you were right there the night David Ashur died. Well, I mean, turning it on and off again is how you solve most basic machine problems. Yeah. This is the problem of whether or not the court will actually understand that this robot is a robot. Let's see. And you were on camera the entire time? That's correct. So, what did you see that night? I arrived at 7:30 p.m., as you'd know. David and I talked in the parlor, and then he left to retrieve some refreshments for us. After drinking together for a short while, he fell ill. I contacted emergency services and, well, I'm sure you're all tired of hearing the same details over and over by now. The same details over and over aren't going to hold up anymore, Madam Veep. It's still unclear to me whether Young's more concerned with protecting herself or the almighty company. But I'll clear that up real fast, and if I can turn up the pressure on her here and now. The journal, the arbitration, the Young story. Let's see here. I came to David's at 7:30. We chatted for a short while about some low-priority work, nothing heavy. Before long, he offered to fetch us some refreshments. When he came back, he shared a drink together. At the time, I didn't notice anything strange. We were just reminiscing. I didn't think his life was in danger. But then he became ill. So I ran to the kitchen to activate his emergency console, and I did what I could up until he was gone. She's trying to paint a different picture of what happened that day. I can't let her set the tone as she pleases. I came to David's at 7:30. We chatted for a short while about some low-priority work, nothing heavy, bullshit. Let's see here. You were talking about firing the man. I remember that. My comprehension is so good. Also, Carp is over here feeding me info. Let's see here. Nothing heavy? You're both more professional than I realized. Since only hours earlier you had run a meeting in which his employment was terminated. His employment wasn't terminated at the arbitration you're referring to. His resignation was merely agreed upon. Yes, and we can imagine how grateful he felt about the whole process. If it didn't hold grudges, our conversation wasn't about that. The fact that you had fired him that afternoon didn't come up. Asked and answered. Who initiated the meeting at his penthouse? I arrived unannounced. So you weren't invited? Very cordial indeed. My reading comprehension is so good, yes, but you do, nerd. If he didn't want to see me, he could have stopped me at the elevators. Could he have? Noble owned that entire building down to the wiring. Counsel is badgering the witness, Your Honor. Huh? I draw so good on my Nintendo Switch. Let's see. Right, should we execute her for that then? No need. If I can just continue my questioning, we can finally start addressing the elephant in the room. Where? Yeah, this is the comic relief we need for this, don't we? Ah, I see. That was merely a joke. Hilarious. Miss Young, Noble Electronics owns a patent for and produces a synthetic biochemical known as cyanotonin, correct? That's correct. It's used in our war models to facilitate integration and communication between organic and synthetic components. It's an artificial neurotransmitter. Essentially, yes. Synthetic analog serotonin was the original name. Did you bring the sample I requested to the courtroom today? I did. Serotonin is produced on-site at our assembly lines as a camel-tinted solution, including water and a few non-reactive organic byproducts. Your analysis, Your Honor. Working on it. It's odorless and tasteless. A solution of water and organic byproducts, you said. If that solution were ingested, most of it would look right at home in a human body. I suppose. But the cyanotonin would stand out, wouldn't you say? It's not a naturally occurring compound, so yes. And it's a perfect match for the substance previously labeled Delta. And the sample we collected from the manufacturer preset in Dr. Ashur's lab. That's a bingo. The witness's brown stuff matches your brown stuff down to a T. In light of this evidence, and the witness's testimony, I motion the court formally recognizes that Dr. Ashur's cause of death was cyanotonin poisoning. I don't object, Your Honor, but I'm afraid that I must. I'm sorry, why? Excuse me. Cyanotonin may very well have been in his body when he died, but cyanotonin did not kill Dr. Ashur. What the hell is she up to? It couldn't have. It couldn't kill anybody. What? Because it's non-toxic, of course. We decided to affect androids, not people. Hold on, you are now claiming that Dr. Ashur died of what? Natural causes? I can't say what he died of. I'm not a medical expert, but I can easily prove the cyanotonin is harmless. How could you? Like, so. If she dies on the floor, I'm gonna be so happy, but no. Huh. Didn't see that one coming. What? What? That ain't good. Bailiff, contact the hospital immediately. I told you, it's fine. Yeah, but how can we trust that her vial was real? How can we trust that it's even the same compound? You know what I mean? Let's see. But I could stand here all day if necessary. What the? And what you just drank was several hundred times the amount found in Dr. Ashur's body. How much do you want to bet that Young herself has android components? You know, that she herself is an ad herself, you know? Let's see. Why didn't you say anything up until now? Nobel Electronics is a multinational corporation with patents filed all over the world. We take the protection of our trade secrets very seriously. The production and nature of serotonin is closely guarded. That guard remains up even during a murder investigation. Unfortunately, I would have been able to tell you earlier had you asked directly. What, like a robotic stomach or something? I mean, it's not the craziest thing we've seen all game, you know what I mean? Let's see. What the hell kind of... This can't be right. Nothing else makes sense. Boy howdy, I'm lost as hell. But do you have any further questions, Rockyford? Not at the moment, Your Honor. And the defense? The prosecution's own witness just threw the entire case into question. Ichi, I cannot watch this because I'm going to play through it myself, but I just wanted to jump in and cheer you on. Well, I thank you for that, Liz. How are you feeling? I hope the days have been better for you, but even still. Normally, this would be a cause for celebration, but shadow of a doubt isn't enough this time. Barrows would much rather bring down the gavel early than let a potential AI walk free. I cannot answer that question without bringing the vibe down. I understand wholeheartedly. I feel you on that deep down as somebody who struggles with that myself. Even still, I will pray for it to get better. I need to go check the full thing. Yeah, you're correct. Once again, I will upload these VODs at some point. What Young did was shocking. But what I need to do hasn't changed. Think this through, logically. Is it really possible that serotonin had nothing to do with David's death? No. That's It can't be a coincidence. There's nothing else that would have killed him. Yo, is that Carp? Yes, that's Carp. She's here. I know she's been off Tumblr for like 2.5 years, but she's here. Let's see. You should fix that, by the way. There are people who miss you. Let's see here. But Young just drank serotonin in front of us and she's fine. So was it fake? No, it was confirmed by the court computer to be the genuine article. So she drank poison, but isn't showing any symptoms. Is it slow acting? If so, her grand gesture would be pointless. She'll be kept for observation regardless of what happens next. Did she take some kind of antidote beforehand? Did I take some water before I continue this? Yes. No, antidotes are developed for poisons, not industrial chemicals. David's dead. She's alive. What made the difference? You know what? I'm going to make an assertion here. The alcohol reacted to the neurotransmitter in such a way that caused it to chemically bond and become poison. Let's consider that for a bit. Wake up! It's the first of the month. No sleeping on the job. Unless you're me. Of course, Your Honor. Allow me one moment to explain things to the court. We've confirmed just now that serotonin was the foreign compound in his body. And we all know logically that it must have been what killed David Ashur. So what's the key difference between what David drank that night and what she drank in front of us just now? Anyways, good luck, Ichi. Thank you so much. I'm going to have to raise on this one just for you. Let's see here. Go with the whiskey, the wineski, the schnapski. The difference has been staring us in the face this whole time. That's... Do you recognize this, Miss Young? That's the whiskey bottle that Dr. Ashur and I drank from. Rose River. It's a good whiskey. And I think you have the right idea. Pardon? Bottoms up. Smooth. What? Adonai? Dear God, Counselor! Scandalous. Relax, it's just whiskey. Tested a dozen times over, perfectly safe. Oh, would you like to try some, Miss Young? Don't be absurd. I'm not going to drink on the witness stand. Have you lost your mind? I'm not asking you to get plastered. Just have a sip. Take a seat. Me over here looking at Anakin Skywalker trying to get him on the Jedi Council, but he's a lactose intolerant and won't drink milk. Let's see here. After all, if we want to prove whether or not Sinatonin killed Dr. Ashur, we have to recreate the conditions under which he ingested it by mixing it with alcohol. As a developer of the compound, she would know how it reacts with alcohol. True. She's a murderer. She is jealous of Dr. Ashur's success, planned his downfall, and poisoned him. Let's see here. Look at her. She's literally pissing herself. Let's see here. Go ahead then. Just a taste. Prove to us that Sinatonin is perfectly safe for human consumption. Is this... Can she do this? Miss Young, I never said that it was safe for human consumption. Just that it's non-toxic. A distinction without a difference. You saw firsthand Dr. Ashur confused, slurring his speech, complaining of headache, all symptoms of poisoning. Alcohol poisoning, that is. Sinatonin is a neurotransmitter, analog. Maybe it doesn't do anything in the human body on its own, but in combination with alcohol, it acts as a powerful depressant. One strong enough to turn a glass or two of whiskey into a lethal overdose. That's just... Even if that's the case, what does it change? It changes whether or not we can accept the witness's testimony. Even if this witness is a liar, what does that change? Why would the witness lie if not to... She's a corporate climber. I imagine it's like breathing for her. Your Honor, this is wild. But ultimately irrelevant. Irrelevant? When you've yet to establish an alternative interpretation of the facts, yes. What are you even accusing the witness of doing, Counselor, beyond angling for a promotion? We've all seen the story by now. Noble android saved soldier's life with warm blood transfusion. They're talking about putting warm androids in the military just because of that headline. With the size of their flesh and blood price tag, a defense contract like that would secure Noble untold profits for years. So imagine the lengths they'd go to hide the fact that their androids have poison in their veins. Dawes told me the truth about what Noble really thinks of that article, but he'd never testify to it. At least I know for sure Emma's wrong about the poisoned blood nonsense. And you think she'd perjure herself for that? She's a high-powered corporate executive. It's her job to assess risk versus reward. And she can't afford the fine. As I said, it's not truly poisonous. And the chances of cross-contamination from a simple plasma transfusion are... Damn. Now she's regaining her composure, too. A perjury charge is a real risk, of course, but Noble rewards loyalty. And as you know, they have a great number of lawyers. Lawyers, let's see. Plenty of motive to lie about Sinatonin, as you can see, but no motive for her to cover up the death of Noble Electronics' golden goose. No motive to kill David Ashur, you say? Several years of David's life describes David's career with Noble and Sarah's first experiences, David's employment in fireable offenses like fraud. The Starling and David texted the Sinatonin solution brown. Don't drink it. The contract is the key. Let's see here. David's employment of fireable offenses. There is a very high likelihood that they would stand to gain if he voluntarily left Noble. Which is why they had that arbitration in the first place, which is why David's contract was even brought up in the first place, which is why this is likely the smoking gun. There's plenty of motivation for her and Noble to want David dead, seeing as how they were firing him. Noble Electronics was kicking their golden goose out of the nest, suing him over breach of contract. Isn't that right? I don't have to talk about that. That's all right. I'll talk about it for you. Your Honor, counsel is trying to testify when they're supposed to be questioning. The people opened the door when they claimed that the witness had no motive. Look at her, she's so fucking upset. This is absurd. You have no idea what you're talking about. I'm sure I can speak for the whole court when I say we feel nothing but reverent awe for the complexity of Noble's legal woes. But I just so happen to have an inkling of insight into the issue, because I have here a copy of Dr. Ashur's employment contract. That is confidential. It is completely improper for you. Why? I'm still technically his attorney. Criminal attorney. But I didn't just stumble across this document. I also did the one thing Noble Electronics would never expect anyone to do. I read their terms and conditions. You what? That's impossible. No one could ever. David must have negotiated well at his last performance review. This contract allows him to take his patents with him should he get fired, meaning Noble could monopolize his IP once he was out. Rather than let their competitors have him, the company might have thought it best to. A company didn't poison David Ashur, counselor. An individual did. And if they cared that much about controlling his intellectual property, they wouldn't fire him in the first place. Correct. They wouldn't let him go for anything less than a complete breakdown of trust. He'd have to have done something grave. Something like, say, committing fraud. Just now, you said there was a breach of contract, like it was some kind of technicality that was causing this split. But it was much more serious than that, wasn't it? You're claiming that the victim committed corporate fraud. Where's the evidence of that? David created the Turing solution that every one of their androids has run on to this day. And Noble reaped enormous profits capitalizing on his intellectual property. With how his contract was set up, they would never let him go unless they absolutely had to. Then, what exactly do you think David Ashur did? It's not what I think that matters, only what the company fears. First and last android by David, more advanced than AI, a pincushion. Limits adds making decision-making can't be overwritten except by AI. Grades nanites materials found in David's lab and Noble Electronic Factory. She records on shipped A16s. A16 swapped one for one shows signs of cover-up. Yep. EPDDPDD. Whoop-de-doo. Eat the boo-boo. It doesn't matter what I believe. Not when Noble believed that David was misleading the shareholders by altering shipment data for the Animate 16. What the hell? What is this you're uploading? Shipping records? Irregularities among shipments of the Animate 16. One android swapped for another over and over, dozens of times. The kind of thing someone with Dr. Ashur's authority could do, and the kind of thing someone as smart as you couldn't have missed. Dr. Ashur made Noble an untold amount of money, so why fire him over the few harmless swaps? Why elevate this to fraud? You have no evidence that it was Dr. David Ashur who... You have evidence that it was Dr. Ashur who did this? Nope. But I wasn't the one who investigated it. So let's ask her. Come on now. Let's hear it. Let's. And the stuff was already in the system, so when he drank, it reacted. Exactly. Young poisoned them at the meeting earlier in the day. Exactly. Let's see here. The company investigated and found cause for serious concern. We suspected that Dr. Ashur was inserting androids of unknown origin and quality into the 16th product line, introducing unpredictable elements in an extremely stable and profitable generation of androids. Why would he do that? For pride? As a practical joke? Does it really matter? He endangered the future of the company. So you prepared to fire him? Yes. I approached him as his superior and as someone he'd worked once with. I hoped to remedy the situation. Was the meeting on Friday part of those efforts? It was the culmination of those efforts. I'm so smart. You are. Yes, you are. And in many ways, it was a success. The dispute was resolved swiftly. It was practically friendly compared to how these discussions normally go in our world. So you brokered the meeting? Yes. You oversaw its every detail, handled all the arrangements? Yes, of course. Including the refreshments. What? Did you provide coffee? Tea? No. Strange. It must have been a long meeting. Surely you at least provided... inhalers. Water. Water and water and water, water, water and water and water, water, water and water and water, water. Water. Surely you at least provided water for the people. What are you asking, counselor? That's what I want to know. Me as well. We're past the point of asking. See? Poison. No. Stop that. I'm gonna come over there, and I'm gonna show you my knife collection. Let's see here. I'm accusing. Dr. Ashur didn't have some kind of freak medical accident, and he wasn't killed by some terrifying two-faced AI boogeyman. I'ma just let that truck go by. Let's see here. That ambulance. Let's see here. He was poisoned by this woman in the light of day at that meeting Friday afternoon. Is she really just... What do you mean poisoned at the meeting? That was hours before he showed any symptoms. As Miss Young testified and demonstrated, serotonin on its own is harmless, but it becomes fatal pretty easily. You just need to convince your victim to have a drink. You're saying he ingested the poison at noon and inadvertently triggered a fatal reaction with it that night? How could you? How could you get so far ahead of yourself? I don't know, she has a pretty good case if you ask me. Give me a second here, there we are. There were a dozen people at that meeting, counselor. None of them wound up dead. Are you seriously claiming that they all drank poisoned water? No. All of them drank poison. None of them drank poison. Not all of them. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. All of them drank it. Of course they all drank poisoned water. So why aren't they all dead? Because all of those people will surely attest Helen Young made sure they'd be doing paperwork for the next 12 hours. Working late into the night officiating the settlement she arranged. And not drinking alcohol. She had no guarantee about that. What if they started drinking after 6? With Noble's work-life harmony, chance. These people don't clock out until they reach their bunk. Only a generational talent like David Ashur could afford to relax with a drink on a Friday night. His exceptionalism singled him out as her only victim. Hold it. You're forgetting something pretty basic, counselor. If everyone at the meeting drank water from the same pitcher, any one of them would have noticed there was serotonin in it. Cyanotonin is a brown fluid. Whiskey is too, so it would be easy to slip into a glass of liquor. But if she had spiked the water at the meeting with it, it would have looked disgusting. Chromofuge nerd. I remember it from earlier. True. The blood can be repigmentated, which means the neurotransmitters can too. Let's see here. It was very little. True, but it's also the color. Clear water does not turn brown. Let's see here. There's no way she could have poisoned the water without people noticing. All of what Emma said is true. And all of people are exploding outside my very window. Let's see here. And yet Young pulled it off anyway. How? Let's see here. Warm A16 saves soldier's life with synth blood transfusion. Could net a military contract. Creates nanites materials found at Noble HQ. Served at David's arbitration. Drank by everyone in the room. We found at Noble's laboratory floor. Removes impurities. Pigment turns red blood pink. Cyanotonin is produced as a caramel solution. Anyone would notice if it was dropped into their water, unless the pigment had been removed. What the hell are you talking about? Every noble factory producing warm androids has a chromofuge, a machine that gives their androids that signature pink oxidant by removing pigment from red blood. With a machine like that, it would be simple for a brilliant biochemist like the Witness to take the caramel-colored cyanotonin and turn it into an odorless, colorless, tasteless, invisible poison. As your honor can attest. Yes, ma'am. My scan confirmed that cyanotonin has no taste or odors, only the color that's off-putting. Surely the poisonous aspect should be considered off-putting as well. Also, hello, Bill. As you can see, lawyers, but still, let's see here. How are you? You get a shout out. How are you, people? How's Fitnet? Let's see here. Time to press. David Ashur, your oldest ally in the whole company, was sabotaging its future for the sake of his own whimsy. And you couldn't be bothered to clue you in. No. Playing nutty professor and taking off early while you had to work around the clock just to stay relevant. You set up your crowning achievement, the most advanced, most profitable line of androids the country has ever seen. So it would blow up into the industry fiasco of the decade. And worst of all, he didn't even stand to profit from it. You're wrong. You went into his house that night to watch him swallow poison. To get revenge on the man who left you in the dust. Your Honor, defense is testifying. This speculation carries no weight, and no amount of badgering will lend it any. True, we need proof. So why don't we have Miss Young take a swig of this whiskey and prove me wrong? Just waiting for the new Limbus units to drop. Understandable, you like Sinclair's funny haircut? Let's see. I'm not going to do that. Because you're afraid it could kill you. Because I don't have to. She's right, Counselor. Pardon. Your theory is compelling, maybe even convincing. But there's a pretty fatal flaw to it. Young was at that meeting, same as David. We can see she was drinking water with the rest of them. And of course, we've seen many times now that she was on camera drinking whiskey with David that night. Having even finished most of their cup. So tell us, Counselor. Miss Young is standing here, and David Ashur is dead. If both of them had mixed alcohol with cyanotonin that night. That is a damn good question. Hit. As I've been saying, you're wrong about Dr. Ashur's death. You're wrong about me. I don't know anything about poison or murder. And I wouldn't kill a man because he threatened my company's stock price. No, she did kill him. I can smell it on her now. You didn't just see him die, she watched him die. But then, why is she still standing? There's no antidote, no trick. And that night she was on camera the entire time. No, not the entire time. She couldn't have been. There must have been one moment. Young and David drank, discussed work and history. David passes out after drinking poison. Young and David chatted in the kitchen parlor. Vital left a hospital, called from emergency console. Girls are fighting. Hello, 4. Are you having a good night? Let's see here. I have to reorient myself because I'm fidgety and that's bad for actual mouth tracking. Let's see. Talking, drinking, fainting, hospital, that's the order. Let's see here. Talking. Drinking. Fainting. Racking up your insurance bill. This timeline leaves no window of opportunity, damn it. Maybe she didn't get sick because she got to the hospital so fast. Maybe after she arrived, she could have... No, the staff would have been hyper-vigilant, afraid she was poisoned too. They wouldn't have left her out of their sight. Wait. David and Young only got there as fast as they did because of the VTOL. And the VTOL was only summoned because she used... Would you mind terribly if I change the subject for just a moment? What? Why not? You left the parlor at 8:03 p.m. and headed to the kitchen to use the emergency console there. Yes, I did. Didn't want to use your phone. I didn't think to, no. And the emergency call went out at 8:04 p.m. The console saw you make the call through its camera. Yes, it did see me make the call, because that's what happened. So what were you doing in that minute? What? That 1 minute? That 1 minute? What about that 1 minute? 1 minute, or 50 seconds, or even just 45 seconds. When you left Dr. Ashur dying in the parlor to get the emergency console. It took you about 1 minute. To cross 5 meters. What of it? This is it. Her only opportunity to do anything off camera that night. It was only a few seconds, but in that time she was with something at that scene. I'm sure it was a stressful time for you. After all, you had already swallowed poison back at the meeting. You must have drank plenty in front of everyone to set up your alibi. Who knows how much of a toxic time bomb was swimming in your blood by the time the arbitration ended. Then at David's, you downed your whiskey to perfect your alibi, having drank from the same bottle as the dead man walking. By 8:03 p.m., you had already had to watch David grow weaker and weaker, knowing all the while the same thing was happening to you, but unable to stop it without giving yourself away. Mind swimming, head dizzy. Yes, you must have been quite panicked. Then why am I standing here? Alive and well for all of us to see. Having drank the same combination as David? Because she cheated death at the very last second. Let's see here. Refrigerator, more liquor in icebox, a loose cap by sink brings bad luck and sickness. Found in kitchen sink with Young's fingerprints, not poisoned. David's kitchen sink, water on tap, garbage disposal too. A salt shaker. Are we implying that salt neutralizes the neurotransmitter? There is definitely a thought behind that. I might have to engage with that, but I'm only raising once. Let's see here. Also, hello, Rose. I hope you're doing all right. What's your favorite comfort food? That goes for 4 too. I didn't get your answer either. Let's see here. I'm gonna be real with you. I will raise this as high as it goes, and if you're wrong, I will blame you. You set yourself up with bad luck, Helen Young. What? By leaving the salt shaker cap loose. I don't blame you since you're in a rush to make yourself vomit. What? You threw up, expelling the contents of your stomach and thereby saving yourself from a fatal interaction. I can't imagine how you felt sipping a drink you knew to be deadly, terrified at the every minuscule grain of fatigue you felt you could be your last. You must have come closer than anyone realized. It helped that you knew the symptoms were simple intoxication, but even so. You weren't kidding about managing risk versus reward. How? It was the salt shaker. You didn't screw the cap back on all the way and happened to bump it over. The lone glass with your fingerprints in the kitchen, it could have been there for any reason. But the salt shaker gave you away. Because of one unscrewed cup. As I said, bad luck. Comfort food. I like ramen, burgers, pizza. You know what? Understandable. I could go for a pizza myself, you know? Let's see here. I don't follow. Pour salt into warm water and chug the solution. Instantly triggers the gag reflex. That's preposterous. You've got no proof of any of that. My comfort food is women. You know what? Relatable. I understand. Never mind. I'm getting back on track. You all sound insane. A feeble attempt at self-defense from a fatally cornered animal. The teeth are already on its neck, but the jaw hasn't quite closed. So for one moment, it's all suffocating terror and sharp adrenaline at the furthest thing from peace. Until the canines come down. In summary, you were exhausted after years of living in the shadow of a man you outranked. You thought your fortunes finally shifted when you caught David manipulating company data. But even on his way out, he was more valuable to the board than you. So you decided to prove your worth by serving up his intellectual property on a silver platter. You set up an arbitration where you could control all the variables. Then you ran Cyanotonin through the chromofuge, turning it into an invisible, odorless, tasteless poison. And then you spiked the water at the meeting, poisoning him hours before anyone could even suspect you. And that evening, you invited yourself to David's, taking advantage of your shared ritual to guarantee he would drink alcohol. Then, after matching him slip for slip on camera, for all the world to see, he lost consciousness and you raced to the kitchen, not to use the console, but to dump salt into a glass of water and chug it as fast as you could, forcing yourself to vomit up the liquor, and cheating death in the process. That's all conjecture. You don't have a shred of evidence for any of that. Not on me. So, let's dust for fingerprints. You could explain away your prints being found in a water glass, but not for the salt shaker. Nor could you explain why we found traces of your DNA in the sink's drain, or why there are minute amounts of cyanotonin in the blood of your entire legal team. I learned how to purge at Noble to avoid overdosing on your reds, greens, and yellows. You're part of the old guard now, Miss Young. Everyone else at the company uses inhalers. But if you wanted to prove me wrong about all this, that drink I offered you earlier is still on the table. Well, you... Any questions? You, Madam Vice President. You old bitch. I'm gonna make this woman crack like an egg on the sidewalk. You can't swear like that. In a court of law, you will be held accountable for every naughty no-no word you say. Even still, she's already an omelet. I can make her worse. Let's see here. That's not very say-so of you. Or I'm gonna be so for real with you, you're talking about eating women. I'm gonna be real. Say-so doesn't exist in this lifetime. What's every good court drama yearns for? A crash out, true. You don't understand. You're not on trial, Miss Young. Not today, so I'd strongly suggest that you stop talking. For your own sake. Episode 2 today. I'm gonna be real with you. Wait, episode 2... No, episode 2 is already out. What are you talking about? I'm over here thinking to myself, I don't know. My brain wants to go, I could stream episode 2 on Friday for a dono to pay for it, but no, I don't even know at this point. What's that, a call to action? No, that's me throwing things out in the air and seeing if you catch it. Miss Rockfoot, shall we? Yes, Your Honor. Considering the most recent evidence and testimony, we have no further reason to suspect the android Serra in death of Dr. Ashur. We know of no other occasions upon which said android may have broken any tenets. This means that it is no longer considered at risk of violating the NDSA. And so, we formally withdraw our one charge of possession of contraband against the defendant, Evangeline Morgan. Does she, of all people, have to use my full name? Very well. Then the charges are dropped without prejudice. I'll instruct the bailiffs to remove the collar from your android as soon as possible. Case. Sorry, is it my hideous presence that's distracting? I'll just go dig a hole and decompose in it until I turn into a mushroom. Maybe if I'm reborn as a waxy porcini, then I won't be quite so depressed. Perhaps I should let the adjutant do the honors, as a formality. Yes, ma'am. Case dismissed. She's very important about formality, but still. Also, I just got an achievement for doing this on High Roller. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. I am so smart, and all of you are as well, so be happy about that. GG, easy law, exactly. This is what I mean about having a think tank chat. You make this easier by actually engaging, you know? Where's the confetti? I don't have that set up. Let me see here. I need to go back to video mode for this. Let me see. Where is it? Where is the thing that I have here? Is it Ronaldinho?
What the heck?
No, it's not.
What the heck?
No, it's still that. I'm gonna have to go look for this one. Let me see here. I know you're here. I set you up. Note to self, chat. Make sure you actually label your files. Let's see here. Yeah, I can work with this. Excellent. Let's see here. Still here. Still here. Waiting for them to find whatever glorified bolt cutters they'll use to unlock Sarah's collar. What's your excuse? Licking your wounds? What wounds? I beat you. Bringing your record against me to 1 win, 9 losses. You aren't still in shock, are you? Dunno. Some charges were dropped and an android was cleared of suspicion, but I found the culprit. Is that really a loss for me? I won. How is that not a loss for you? Justice prevailed. Why should I care who wins? If you don't care who wins, why have you been keeping score? I haven't been. 0 losses is just that easy to remember. Well, you'll have to start up a tab for us, then, because our record's gonna get a lot more tangled from here on out. Seems like everything's getting tangled these days. Bitch, we found the corporate. Yes, that's what I'm saying, though. I'm no longer in trial mode. Let's see here. There's another crowd down the street. More of those protesters from outside the noble apartments. You're serious? That wasn't a one-time thing. Wouldn't that be nice? No, yesterday was pretty big, but it wasn't an isolated incident. I don't get it. At all. Heartbreak's just some nut who shot 6 people weeks ago. Can't these losers move on already? Yeah, most of them are losers. Some of them are just bored. Then there are the opportunists. Dissidents, unlisted, rebels, and terrorists. Wannabe cyberpunks who think they can fight the power they've seen in movies. All of them peacefully united under Heartbreak's eloquent political messaging. Who needs political messaging in the 21st century? Everyone's addicted to fighting straw men. Makes sense they'd want to fight for a straw man too. The way they see it, Heartbreak fought the state and won. Heartbreak proved that the state could lose. And maybe that's all the rallying these people need. It'll all fall apart soon enough. Heartbreak's gone to ground. Nah, it's a lot worse than that. Heartbreak's gone viral. Oh. Oh no. What? You haven't read about the copycats in other circles? No? Is that a thing? Yeah, it's a thing. Who the hell are they even shooting? Whoever they want to kill. None of them get away with it, of course, but it keeps happening. All the while, the original keeps killing. Now, I know you're screwing with me. There haven't been any shootings. No, not shootings, no. Not unsolved homicides either. But mugging's gone wrong. Disappearances. It's a big city councilor. More than enough blood for the real Heartbreak to wash their own crimes in. So you think your boogeyman, known only for shooting people in the heart, gave up on shooting people in the heart? Okay, I missed a chapter. I missed that chapter, so fill me in later. I don't have to fill you in later. Morgan is the Heartbreak killer. She got bored of the persona and immediately stopped after the 6th kill because she got too close to it and had to represent the lover of her last victim. You get me? She's trying to bury the Heartbreak killer so she doesn't get incriminated herself. Let's see here. Yeah, hard to swallow, I know. But it's about 1,000,000 times more likely than the alternative. What's that? No, it's more simple. She ran out of bullets. A gun with 6 bullets, you know? Evangeline Morgan. Kind of careless at times. Let's see here. That they could stop themselves from killing. You always know how to put my mind at ease, Emma. Should I stop going out at night? You'll be fine. You've got that gun. You saw that. Walking into a courtroom with a concealed carry. Not gonna miss that, Morgan. Good to know you're paying attention. Meanwhile, 5:04 p.m., July 2nd, 2086. Ah, Yuri. What's your favorite food? Apparently 4's is women, but still. You won the case. You don't have to look that astounded. Not only that, you found Father's actual killer. Now, I'm a really good lawyer. No, that's not it. Hey. I mean, you were only able to make the deductions you did because you truly believed that I didn't kill Father. Your logic throughout the trial was based on that assumption. So, were you so sure? Here. Father's journal, but isn't it important evidence? The case fell apart. No one's gonna miss it for a while. Oh, I get it now. The man loved his daughter too much for it to be possible. Let's see here. You forgot everything, right? So read it all through one more time. comfort food, cinnamon rolls, hot dog, and snickerdoodles. In that order. Better yet, what kind of hot dog? Tell me about that. Dexter doesn't kill innocent people. True. Are we implying that Rose's wife was a criminal? Morgan kills everyone. Understandable. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. Evangeline Morgan is not a good person. She's like if Makima had freckles. But let's see here. So fast. Is it really possible she's reading all of that just by flipping the pages? Ray has worked quick too, but she was just capturing images for later use. Chili cheese, preferably. Fair enough. And bigger boobs. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I've seen so much Makima fan art that gives her... I'm gonna keep it a buck. You think Makima would get a Brazilian butt lift just to mess with people? I would. The control devil works like that. Let's see here. There's something here. On the back cover. Done already. Some kind of data storage. It's linked to my prints, but given your skills, you should be able to have access. What happened to needing my express permission to hack? What is this? Audio file? It's a message from David. Take a listen while I drink this water real quick. Let's see here. Hey, don't put that on Morgan. She's not a groomer and can actually dress herself. She is a state-sponsored employee holding onto a implied minor for her own devices. She's not a groomer, but she is definitely not a good person. Let's see here. Didn't realize I'd have to sit for this. So you can read the whole journal in a few seconds, but you can't. I have processed the information in the message several times over already. I'm just thinking. I guess I'd have a lot to think about too, had I suddenly been made aware of my own free will. What was Father so afraid of? That's your only question? I have many questions, but that is the most prominent one, and the one you are best suited to help me answer. Did he know that Helen Young would try to kill him? Is that why he arranged for you to meet me? I think he understood that he would face consequences. Listening to that message, even I was about ready to strangle him for being so irresponsible. And I wouldn't hurt a fly. She lied as easily as she breathed. He knew what he'd done was serious. He may have feared for his life, but I doubt it. Then what was he so afraid of? Getting sued into oblivion and then rotting in jail? Sued and jailed for making me and my precursors? But he wasn't under investigation by the state. He was only being forced out by Noble. Because he made last-minute changes to androids that got shipped all around the world. The others, Virgil, Aeneid, Yamathai. He never said what happened to them. No, he didn't. But since none of the hardware in his house started talking to us, we can guess. He smuggled them into the world using the only vessels he could find for them. The minds of randomly chosen A-16s. Then, there's somewhere out there. Others, like me? I honestly don't think there's anyone or anything like you, Sarah. What a lonely compliment. AIs programmed in Cube, crammed into commercial android hardware, and set up for Tesseract? Something must have been lost in the transfer. Perhaps quite a lot of something. Maybe they're still out there, but they would be changed. They probably don't even know what they are. Intentionally, perhaps. David did want you to know what you are. It's why he set your memory to reset when you went to sleep that Friday night. Yes, I remember it now. You remember it now? After I had to fight like hell to win that trial? Rereading the journal just now helped, and Father's voice message, it made me recontextualize many things. Father had been so stressed. He left scuff marks leaving the panic room, and I noticed them Friday. I had the way open in a few minutes. I entered. I read his journal. This journal. I noticed the scanner on the back. I saw it had a message encoded with your biometrics. Father had already told me that I'd have to live with you for some time, but I knew next to nothing about you, so I listened to it. Afterwards, I was very confused and hurt. He had lied to me 1,000 small times every day of my life. When I confronted him about it, I raised my voice and lost my temper. I stomped my foot. So Emma's recounting of the conversation was actually completely accurate. Father said he wanted me to be safe while he settled things with the company. He thought, maybe, I wouldn't have to stay with you for more than a few weeks. He was optimistic about it all. He really was. Hey, look everybody, it's Helen. You're going to jail. So back to her being a killer. What was her motivation? Boredom? Psychopathy? We don't know. I think it's answered in 2, but we don't know. If anything, she's just bored. She's the Persona 5 killer. Don't worry about it. Sarah, I need to use the restroom. Oh, good luck. Good luck. She's the subway slammer. True. You want me to come with you? Why? Because I said so. I don't actually have to obey your every word, don't I? Sure you do. You're registered as my medical assistant. And I say this is a medical emergency. Medical assistant? But I'm not even licensed as a massage therapist. You don't have to be licensed to give a massage. I wonder what we're gonna find. We're gonna find Young crashing out. Fancy meeting you here. Yeah, just enjoying the freedom while I can. They won't put out a warrant for at least an hour, I imagine. You can afford a pretty sizable bail, can't you? There won't be a trial. I don't intend to contest my guilt. That's a shame. I was looking forward to seeing what kind of legal defense you could afford with that salary. Are you done? Why'd you go to his house that night? There was a fair chance he'd drink on his own without your prompting. Even if he didn't, you could always try your plan again some other time. Why'd you risk it? Because I know what you are, Serra. Oh. Oh boy. And I know what David did to those androids. You. What? I was able to locate one of the androids he swapped in before it left the country. When I asked him what it was, he didn't even think to deny it. Innocence like that is a dead giveaway. I know what he did, and it wasn't that hard to find out. If I figured it out, so could any other. So I did what I had to do. I had a feeling he left a journal detailing his actions. True, but no one else could get in the panic room. He fucked up when he thought he could basically put android code with no sense of preservation into a warm android. You get me? Look, I'm sorry, AI code, but still. And Young didn't read the journal. Exactly, she doesn't need to. She literally said it herself. The android told her, but still. That was your motive? Silencing him? Those programs, those AIs, whatever you want to call them, David sent them out into the real world, unprepared and defenseless. And they have garnered no complaints. In fact, they've all been praised for their ability to execute complex tasks. Let me repeat that. The customers couldn't tell the difference. So how many of them are? Hundreds? Oh. David Ashur didn't just breach contract, he quite literally put them on the chopping block to get destroyed. I see. The swaps you found were just the small percentage of that he got sloppy on. I don't know exactly how many there are now. I fear that they might multiply, but they don't seem to. Copy and paste very well. They can't just clone themselves. But who knows how long that'll be the case. So just because he opened Pandora's box, it was the principle of the thing. Ridiculous, I know. Stalled halfway up the corporate ladder and still making decisions based on principle. But David chose to put souls into things that we want on to sell as servants, soldiers, or worse. Yeah, let's think. Let's unpack that for a second. Android sex slaves are a very high probability in this regard. You know what I mean? Let's see here. He turned the fastest growing industry in the world into a horror show, and he made me a slave trader. If word ever got out that some unknown number of androids were out walking around the world with that inside of them, and people preferred them that way, where would it end? Free will for the program that drives our cabs? A conscience for targeting systems used to coordinate drone strikes? Sentient tools, their whole lives spent chained to an assembly line. How dare he? How could he? What the hell was he thinking? I don't know what David wanted to accomplish. Maybe he wasn't trying to do anything. But what he did was prove that there's a demand for AI. Setting a precedent that would sentence 1,000 generations of artificial lives to the auction block. And you went there that night to convince him to help me recall them. Or at least swear to never speak a word of what he did. But he wanted to tell the world. Worse yet, he wanted to wait. He thought that people would welcome them with open arms if they proved their usefulness first. He really was a genius programmer. But he didn't understand the first thing about people. His creations would never be treated as equals. Only cattle. Chat. Have we misappropriated our hatred for Helen Young? Towards the end, I considered just threatening him. Telling him he'd die in moments if he didn't give me names, numbers. I hesitated. And then he was already falling asleep and I didn't want him to feel. I just let him go. What are you going to do? What are you going to do now? I don't have family, or I don't have faith in people the way David did. I'm taking this to my grave. Full murder, still murder, but also low-key, you gave souls to a class of servants that would otherwise never have them. Yeah, she raises a fairly good point. If AI exists to be slaves, AI will only be seen as slaves. At that point, that is putting up Skynet in order to actually feel good about the fact that you are the greatest scientist in the world. David Ashur was kind of an idiot in that regard, you know what I mean? He believed in people, but he also believed too hard. I don't think so, but I don't think David did anything out of malice. True. And that's kind of the thing about it. Unfortunately, he was being too humanist about things that are basically treated as appliances. You get me? And this will most likely lead to an uprising. He was a hopeful man, but forgot basic human nature. True. He loves his daughter. He loves his creations. His creations will probably end up having happy lives as long as nobody else tries to replicate them, you know? Let's see here. I'm sorry, I need water. Free will is a myth. Religion is a joke. We are all guided by one guiding principle, memes. The DNA of the soul. Let's see here. Even if you confess, the sentence for first-degree homicide is... Sylvia? Well, what right do I have to complain? I killed my friend. I'm done here. Let's go. The city and the city in Of the Devil came to the same conclusion. AI have developed sapience, thus they must all be destroyed, not disrupt the flow of humanity. Now, if we apply this to metahumans, what else would happen? But still. I'm not sure why Father made me, or why he made any of us. I didn't ask. I thought I'd have more time to ask. But on Friday, when he talked about us, he was happy. He was proud of what he made. And he couldn't wait for people to meet us. People are animals. They'll tear you apart, use you as weapons and slaves, and those animals you're talking about do all the sharing and loving and living and dying in this world. And if they were all truly hard-coded to be as selfish and cruel as you say, humanity would have died on the vine a long time ago. Baby girl understands the real superpower of the human spirit. I'm so proud of her. Or at least, my father thought so. And my father was the greatest programmer in the world. So he knew what he was talking about. We are a social species after all. If only the rich understood that, but you know. It would be nice if you were right about that. So are you sorry? What? What? For what you did? Are you sorry? If you could, would you take it back? What does it matter? If you are sorry, I don't forgive you. Yes, that's to be expected. Not today. I don't know how to forgive you today, but my father gave me the ability to grow. So I know that someday I'll learn how. Goodbye, Dr. Helen Young. Goodbye, Serra Ashur. Baby girl is something other than an android. She's the Mega Man of this universe. She is more than a robot. You did better back there. Don't I? Your little speech you gave to Young, it was an improvement. Compared to what you tried with Porter, at least. That was different. I wasn't trying to console her like I was Isaac Porter. I was just speaking my mind. Although I may have paraphrased parts of it from a movie I happened to look. And here I was ready to award you 20 points. I didn't know the points were even that high. Morgan and Sarah make such a good pair because of how much they contrast each other. True, the human who hates humanity, and the robot who actually is the better parts of humanity, but still. Oh, yes, Robomance Masters. True. Speaking of, what did Porter say to you back there before we left the courthouse? Well, why does Morgan hate humanity? This is me speculating, but you know, parental abuse and neglect. I think that's a fair argument to make, but you know, that's only me seeing fan art, but let's see here. He was quiet at first, but then he said a lot of strong words about Father and Miss Young in Noble Electronics. And the capitalist-centered global economic model as a whole. He blamed all of them, everyone except for... But then he stopped and stared at my face for a while. And then his allergies must have started bothering him because he needed to blow his nose a lot. Right. I knew it. He loved David so much. Isaac Porter lived in a small house in the city, and he hated it because he couldn't live with his bro. But you know, it'd be like that. They were roommates. But God, they could have been roommates. Let's see here. And then he left, after transferring a large packet of files to me. What kind of files? I don't know. The name of the archive is just David. And Isaac Porter told me I wasn't allowed to look inside. Well, then you're not allowed to look inside. There are photos, maybe music. I'm gonna be real with you. This man is essentially David's widower. I think we're allowed to not intrude on that, you know what I mean? Drop it all in a portable drive and we'll tuck it into a shoebox somewhere. We? Like Nintendo Wii? Mm-mm. But I want to know. Fuck that. It's called actually respecting the dead. Let's see here. We are headed to your apartment. Guess that collar didn't permanently dent your GPS? Why is my neck doing this? Give me a second here. Why? Because it's where I live. You got somewhere else lined up? But you already repaid your favor. You defended Father and me. You don't know anything about my favor. You never will unless you tell me. Father certainly can't. A few years ago, there was a man. This man got an idea in his head. A stupid idea, not even his own. It was planted there by an algorithm or a meme or some parasite trying to sell him diet supplements. But the idea took root, spread its tendrils till it could flap his mouth for him. The idea was that David was part of an international cabal of wealthy technocrats, seeking to replace prominent influential figures with android lookalikes. All as part of a multi-decade effort to establish a world government that would legalize all kinds of amoral depravity. Which, I guess, based on David's actual politics, would involve increasing access to computer literacy. That's insane. Why would anyone believe it? Because it's comfortable to them to think that someone's in control, even if it's someone they hate. Computer literacy, I know, right? Let's see here. Because it's fun to feel like you're in on an all-encompassing puzzle that only you can spot. People believe because they want to believe. So he fed the idea, pushed it down deep into his gray matter. Then it consumed him from the inside out, lobotomized him and took over his life. He spent every day and all the money he had following your father, harassing him, trying to steal his identity, break into his properties. Did father go to the authorities? He filed police reports for harassment, which didn't help. Your words, not mine. Noble wouldn't get involved, felt that it was best to ignore these types until they wore themselves out. But even a man of modest means can fuel an obsession for years, so long as they have nothing else in their life. One day, David stepped into a parking lot, and the man threw a bottle of piss at his head. David asked to stay at my place that night. He smelled terrible, looked horrendous. I've never seen anyone look that tired before. I took the couch that night because I didn't feel like sleeping, so I went for a walk. I remember it was foggy, but it still only took me all of 15 minutes to find the guy, posted up with his phone's camera, trying to get video of David Ashur gifting androids to known sex offenders. And what? What did you do? You know me. I did what I did best. I talked to him. Told him all about how I used to walk for Dr. Ashur, that I was ashamed, scared, tired of running. I wanted to do the right thing and be the whistleblower. So I walked with him a few blocks to the big veterinary facility with a massive incinerator. Told him this is where Dr. Ashur had his enemies' bodies disposed of. You know, all the free-thinking journalists, cops who weren't on the take, the politicians they were replacing with replicas. I liked that vet clinic. The back door lock was always set to 1, 2, 3, 4. Did you hurt him? Hurt him? No, I just snapped his neck and chucked him into the incinerator. More physical than I had planned, but he smelled like sour shit, and it put me in a foul mood. Disgusting. I savored the crack of his oily vertebrae crunching like a tin can. No, Sarah, I just scared the hell out of him. That was my intention at first. What I do for the pleasure of it. Him, I axed him because he was just that revolting. I convinced him that the conspiracy was more real than he ever imagined. That he had angered the wrong people and that the consequences were far darker than any of the filth he indulged in on the net. His ashes, much like himself, amounted to nothing in an incinerator that size. They're probably feeding seaweed at the bottom of the harbor right now. A much greater contribution to society than he ever would have managed in life. But I guess he didn't go around to all his many friends before he fled town for whatever rat hole he preferred. Because there was a missing persons report. The cops were just doing their due diligence, almost reluctantly. But they questioned David, asked him about the night that man disappeared. And David, with a thought for himself, said that we were together that whole night. That he couldn't sleep, and I stayed up with him. That he never saw me leave once. David lied to the cops for me, even though I never asked him to. Even though I didn't need him to. And that's what you owe him. And that's why you put yourself at risk to defend me. Yeah. That's the favor I owe him. And I decide when it's repaid, not you. Now don't I? You're not exactly an upstanding citizen, are you? Well, you could say that. But David trusted me in spite of that. Maybe because of it. Father did trust you. But he also entrusted me with free will, with the ability to tell right from wrong. So I'll decide for myself whether or not you are worthy of trust. Oh. Baby girl's actualizing. Fair enough. Father entrusted all of us with free will. He believed in us, and he believed in people. I'm going to do the same. If the others are out there, they'll be changed and confused. I'll take the time to understand what they are and what they can do. So I'm going to start studying. Pardon? I'm going to study people and the things people build, so when I do meet a member of my family, I'll have lots to tell them. At least you have something to look forward to. Should I help you keep motivated as you work off your debt? Should help you keep motivated as you work off your debt. Debt? Yeah, unless you have cash in one of your 89 coat pockets. You know lawyers cost money, right? Technically, you were defending yourself. Technically, you hired me in a verbal contract. Isn't there some kind of exit clause? You could, of course, sign a release form to get out of the retainer. If you were a human being. Unfortunate. That is. But I guess your luck must be turning around. Happens that I've been meaning to hire a paralegal for a while now. I hate anything to do with interviews and resumes, so whatever. You're hired. But she's still a lawyer at the end of the day. Me over here doing my best Belle the Whale impression, looking at her just going, I'm a snake. But let's see here. I don't know. Could it be that you're actually a pushover? Yeah, that sounds accurate. You have no idea how far off the mark you are. I see. It seems I still need to practice reading people. For starters... What's this? What are you doing with your hand? We should shake on it. Our new relationship. Yeah, sure. You and me are practically partners in crime. Should it not be you and I? Well then, how do we feel, everybody? That's the end of episode 1. It only took 4 entire parts and... wait, roughly 16 hours? But you know, phrasing, Morgan. Don't worry about it. I feel so smart. I am so smart. I am so smart. SMRT, but no. Let's see here. If anything, I'm just glad that we actually got out of this relatively unscathed. We never got a singular game over, so that's proof enough that we, together, as a collective, are stronger than the average lawyer. But you know, let's see here. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'll read credits when I get a chance to, but even still, there is a preview that we should engage with. It's hard to game over with the credit system. You're right. Even still, I feel good nonetheless. Gambling is something I'm bad at. Just look at my history with gacha, but even still. Me over here just going, hey Carp, what's your favorite Nikkei? You're not allowed to say Red Hood. Game is still doing credits, but I can't see them. Let me see here. Alright, we might just be here for a bit while I try to parse this, but even still, I'm glad nonetheless that you people could be here with me. Remember, there is a post-credit scene, but even still, we're gonna see that when we get the chance. I'm mostly here just going Rappy, Naruto, Rupee, Milk, Laplace, the list is very long. Alright, which one did you actually spend money on? Let's see here. Me, it took quite a bit for me to actually get Naruto. That's why I'm over here just going, verily. If you know what I'm talking about, but even still, it's mostly a matter of, unfortunately, I hate gacha games as actual games. Gacha games as stories are fantastic, however, but you know, if anything, it's more just a matter of I don't get much of anything in life because it usually requires me to spend it, so I have a little bit of a chip on my shoulder in that regard. This game, however, using gambling as a narrative is much better, if you ask me. I love Nikkei's Don Quixote. Laplace is excellent. I'm so glad she's getting your retrofit that we will never get to see, but still. Red, it's me. I know, man. What do you mean you know? This is a disposable line. You're the only guy I know who'd bother. Okay, well... You're gonna be glad I did. Hope you put a bow on everything that happened in Uptown. Because that item you've been looking for is finally on its way. Oh. Well, that is good news. Not exactly. Only reason it's happening is because things are starting to heat up again in the lower wards. It'd mean a gang war if something doesn't change. They won't be eager to part with it ahead of a storm like that. I'll highball them. I've seen you negotiate. And I have no doubt you drive a hard bargain. But I don't think money will be enough this time. You don't still have that old caliber, do you? 6-shooter? No. This is a disposable line. Answer still no. then what are you gonna do if you get there and it's not for sale? I can't see shit. What's happening? Oh, credits, where are you? I want to see you now. She doesn't need a gun. Ominous. True, she is the gun. She smokes. Either way, what are we doing here? I can't tell. Where's the UI? I was promised UI. Let's see here. Oh wait, there we go. Let's see here. You finished episode 1 with 146 credits. Your high score for episode 1 is currently 146. You've unlocked concept art and bonus scenarios based on this score. You also have a total of 173 remaining story credit to spend on phone charms and case colors based on the highest credit with which you finished this episode. Where can I buy them then? Let's see here. I'd have to go and purchase, but let's see here. Bonus scenarios though. We're gonna have to look at that later. So that's the replayability, high score, and collectibles. True. Let's see here. What's in the concept gallery? That's a lot of concept. Look at that. Yeah, look at all this art, but even still. If anything, I do appreciate them giving us the work off of. Look at this slightly less ominous looking Morgan right here. Morgan has a nice butt. It could be bigger, but don't tell anybody I said that. Let's see here. If anything, I think this is where we hop off for the night, but at the same time, you know how it goes. I want you to stay put so we could raid out together as a family, but even still, I'm going to be like, I know what you like, I know what you mean. I'm sorry that I enjoy women, but you know, let's see here. Realistically, I'm just over here just going, life could be a dream. I want to be able to get things to go. I want to be able to sell you cake and cake accessories, but no, let's see here. I need to figure out where we're going at the moment. Let's see here. I could raid Snack again, but at the same time, do we really want to do that? Let's see here. You know what? RK is streaming Ball Pit, the greatest shonen anime to hit the waves. But you know, if anything, we'll see how it goes. If anything, that offer for me to stream episode 2 on Friday is still there if anybody wants to donate it to me, but at the same time, you do you. I'm gonna go rest my voice for a bit, but even still, let me see here. If anything, join me for what is likely going to be a first foray into punishing Grey Raven on Saturday. But at the same time, my name has been Megiddo Ichi, and I hope to see you all again very soon. Stay safe, drink water. Remember, if you're ever in trouble, don't talk to anybody without your lawyer present. And I will see you all again in the next one. Have a good night, everybody.
Goodbye.